Drunk versus high, the two most common altered states of being us humans indulge in, which, believe it or not, your preferred choice between these two vices can actually show a lot about your overall personality. For most of us, if you plan on getting high and hanging out, it means eating Doritos, rewatching Pineapple Express, and or playing video games. On the other hand, getting drunk and hanging out usually means stumbling around the club with your friends, yapping with strangers, trying to close a deal with potential prospects, and finally vomiting in the bathroom just to go back to the dance floor and repeating the previous steps until A, you close a deal with progressively less desirable prospects, or you strike out completely, go home, and brace for the hell that's waiting for you in the morning. But there is a lot more you need to take into account when comparing alcohol to weed. So today, for the sake of science and education, let's look at every major category and come to an unbiased decision on which of these substances is subjectively better, starting with the most important category, and that is the effect. You ever seen a dude faded beyond belief, hanging out and having a fun time with a dude that's drunk as fuck? The answer is probably no, because as I said earlier, the personalities of the two substances just don't mix very well. Being high is a combination of overanalyzing every thought you have and really going deep into your inner 10-year-old, which means laughing uncontrollably at a TikTok your homie sent you one moment and then the next remembering that we're all really just chunks of matter roaming an endlessly expanding universe without no clear purpose except enjoying your time alive. Ooh, funny cat video. And being drunk is the exact opposite in the way that instead of overanalyzing your decisions, you don't think about them at all.
You're telling me if I did a backflip off that table right now, I'd impress all the hoes? Yeah, probably. You know how to do a backflip though? Just watch. Hey everybody, check this out. Shit. Bro, I thought you said you know how to do a backflip. I never said I knew how to. I just thought I'd pull it off somehow.
Basically, being drunk makes you overconfident, unaware of your surroundings, and numb social anxiety, and overall just makes you very spontaneous in your actions. But don't get me wrong, that's not always a bad thing per se, cause being drunk is fun as fuck. To be honest, in most social situations, it's probably gonna be way more enjoyable than being high. Just the way I see it, alcohol numbs your senses and worries, while makes you more aware of them. So although in the long term, smoking grass is probably less harmful to your overall life, that's not what we're comparing here. So a bit of a controversial take maybe, but alcohol wins this category 1-0 booze. But now let's look at the thing that comes a couple hours after the effect, and that's the after effect / hangover. Not gonna dwell on this subject for too long, as I think we all know where this is going. If you get shit-faced drunk on Friday, you're gonna be fighting the urge to yourself on Saturday. Okay, that might be a bit of an over-exaggeration, but it's low-key true. Because you see, ethanol, aka alcohol, is literally poison, and when you drink too much of it, you're gonna feel like you've been poisoned. Like shit, who would've thought? And with weed, of course, there is no hangover whatsoever. Well, not really, cause if you ever gotten absolutely annihilated to the point your body switches to autopilot before, then you know after waking up the next day, there is a high possibility you'll experience low energy, haziness, brain fog, and worst of all, the desire to get schmacked again in the morning so you can binge watch season 1 of SpongeBob and ignore all your goals and aspirations. But that is a lot better than feeling so awful that you become a devoted Christian overnight and start begging God for mercy.
My head hurts so bad. I know I haven't reached out in a while, God, but please end this suffering, and I promise I'll never drink again.
Hey bro, wanna go to Lucy's place today? Everybody's coming. It's supposed to be a crazy party. Yeah, let's go. So even though the grass isn't the miracle plant some people believe it to be, I'd still say it's the clear winner in this category. 1-1 all tied up. Now let's look at cost. In the previous comparison of weed versus nicotine, I went through all the levels of consumption to figure out which one is cheaper, but with this one, comparing just the cost of the booze versus the Zaza isn't gonna cut it. Because you see, on a night out where you get wasted, I'd say maybe like 20% of the actual money spent is gonna be on alcohol you yourself consumed, with the rest going to entry fees into clubs, buying shots for them hoes, expressing your love to the homies by buying them drinks, and other stupid shit people tend to do when drunk. Also, unless you're a straight up bum or functioning alcoholic, you're not gonna be drunk every day. Instead, if you love drinking and partying, you'll be drunk every weekend. Or the other possibility is, of course, you drink a couple beers every night at the end of your day, which the best way to tell if you fall into this category is go look in the mirror, and if you have a dad bod, then yeah, you're probably in it. With smoking though, your primary cost is gonna be in the weed itself, ranging anywhere from $40 a month if you only blaze on the weekends with your homies, all the way up to like $500 a month if you're getting high every day. Which this category is quite hard for me to pick a clear winner because it really just depends on your personality and self-control when drunk. So I'ma leave it at a tie. I'm sorry, it's the only way to be fair. 2-2, we're still tied. Now time for addictiveness. I think the best way to answer this question is by looking at what these substances do to you, starting with alcohol. The saying, drink away the pain, exists for a reason. Alcohol is a numbing agent. It numbs your senses, numbs your brain, numbs your body, and it numbs the pain. Basically meaning you can drink away your problems for the night, which if that isn't enough of a red flag, it also has some pretty major withdrawal symptoms if you decide to stop being an alcoholic one day. And although with there can also be withdrawal symptoms, it's a bit harder to get that far, and from what I've digged up, they're not as hard to overcome. Although, take that with a grain of salt because the research on this field isn't super conclusive yet. But if alcohol is a numbing agent, then what is the ganja? Glad you asked. In my opinion, the Zaza is an amplifier, so if you're sad and dealing with some serious emotional damage and then smoke a doozy, you're gonna be even more sad, and the emotional damage will feel much worse. Obviously, if you get so blasted you switch to manual breathing, it can also numb the pain to some regard, but that's only because your brain puts your trauma aside to focus on surviving the high, and it's not like it's always gonna do that. It might actually just make you focus on your misery even more. That being said, I'ma give this point to the Zaza, because although saying isn't addictive is false, it is still less so than alcohol. So 3-2, the grass is finally winning, but maybe this next category will tie it back up. Variety. This is a very interesting category because both alcohol and weed have variations. For bud, that usually means is it sativa or indica? What's the THC percentage? What strain is it? And for alcohol, it's about the same, as in what percentage of alcohol is the drink? Is it vodka? Is it tequila, beer, etc.? So both have variety, but there's one major difference that, in my opinion, pushes one of these substances over the hump to victory. Unlike alcohol, which you can only drink or technically eat, but well, nobody's really doing that. Anyway, with weed, you have many ways of consumption. Eat, drink, smoke, vaporize. You can even use a tincture and drop some highness right on your tongue. And although alcohol does have some variety in its effects, it's usually always about the same compared to the ZA, where if you're smoking some Cali Sativa Exotic, it's gonna be noticeably different to some standard indica. And for that reason, I have to give this one to the Zaza. 4-2 does. Mary Jane still undefeated. Level 3. Yeah, I'm pretty high. So here we are, pretty high. This is the point where, at least for me, doing anything besides leisurely activities is hard. Not impossible, nor undoable, but hard. If we take that Amy Schumer comedy special for reference again, as for some reason I like doing, it might just maybe have become funny, but you also realize you just high, so you turn it off and watch something else. Also, this is the first level where some thoughts might have become uncontrollable in the senses you just can't help but dive deeper into the fact that the bomb dropped on Hiroshima was almost 1,600 times less powerful than the Tsar bomb created and detonated by the Soviets in 1961 as a show of power to the US. But then you find out there's something called an antimatter bomb, which could be even more destructive, but it's only a theory. But then maybe the US is developing it in Area 51 or something. Yeah, I think you get the point. But there is one sensation that is more powerful than your random thoughts, and that of course is the munchies. Coupled with the fact you're probably rocking some dry mouth right now, this in my opinion is the best level to be at if you're trying to stuff your face with enough trans fats to feed 50 hungry children. But you know, you already ate it also. Anyway, moving on to level 4. Faded beyond belief. This is the point where if you're not in a safe space, you kinda screwed. Well, not always, but at this level, it's become almost impossible to practice rational thinking. I mean, if you were diving deeper into that nuclear bomb stuff at the previous level, then this is a point where you might start actually believing you are Oppenheimer himself. This stage is really not the best if you're looking to focus on a movie or video game or really anything, because, well, your attention span is at the mercy of the ZA, and and to actually enjoy this high, you just gotta go with the flow. As for me, it's getting pretty hard to read the script. If I look at the words for long enough, they kinda look like some ancient Chinese hieroglyphs. But anyway, if you're an actual lunatic, maniac, psychopath, Zaza destroyer, and considering hitting that gravity one more time, then be prepared for Level 5. Shadow Realm. I told you, bro, you gotta be a maniac to get to this level because the plane of existence you on now is so different from being non-high. You probably feeling and looking like a goddamn alien. I mean, bro, your eyes are so red and you feel so disconnected from your body that if you look in the mirror, you'll probably think, bro, is that really me? I'm so fucked up. Wait. Ah, shit, I'm in the Shadow Realm again, aren't I? And now that you realize you're in the Shadow Realm, you either stop the trip by going to sleep or Level Unknown, exploring the Shadow Realm. This level doesn't require smoking more. All it really requires you to do is just go outside and explore the world that in many ways has become the upside down from Stranger Things. Cause at this level, rational thinking has been completely thrown out the window and your brain has reverted to factory settings as of when you were just born. So if you see a streetlight flickering, for example, if you were normal, you just think, they really should fix that. Compared to now, oh shit, bro, this is totally one of those slasher scenes where once I walk over the streetlight, he's gonna shift me up, isn't he? Nah, man, fuck this, I'm out of here. At least, I don't know, that's how it feels to me when I achieve the pinnacle of high and am wandering the world outside. Smoke weed every day. To some, this is their mantra, and to others, it is just something they said in 4th grade to sound cool, along with, of course, it getting money. But did you know, smoking weed isn't just some 21st century trend where after COVID everyone just realized, man, this sucks. Yo, did you hear? The lockdown is ending next week. We finally get to leave our rooms. Man, this sucks. No. People have been getting high off that homegrown natural supply for decades, centuries, dare I say millennia. And over these countless years, a lot of the people who shaped our history also shaped finely ground botanical matter tightly packed within a thin, often translucent paper forming a perfect tube, aka a joint. I'm saying they smoked weed, okay? Anyway, some of these people we can confirm to have consumed the Lord's loud, and the others we, well, unfortunately just have suggesting evidence for, and one will be complete speculation by me, which, try and guess which one of them is which, I'll also tell you at the end of the video. First up, William Shakespeare. The idea that William Shakespeare may have smoked cannabis stems from findings in the early 2000s where scientists discovered pipe fragments in Shakespeare's garden. These pipes contain traces of cannabis, among other substances. While there is no direct evidence that Shakespeare himself used cannabis, the presence of these compounds has led to speculation about whether he might have experimented with that top-shelf Zaza. This theory is further fueled by some interpretations of his writings, such as in Sonnet 76, where he mentions invention in a noted weed, which some suggest could be a subtle nod to using weed as a source of creative inspiration. However, these are only speculations and there's no conclusive evidence to confirm them. Me, however, have no doubt in my mind that that man at least once in his lifetime got faded than a hoe. I mean, they found signs of cannabis among other substances, suggesting to me that one of Shakespeare's friends like Thomas Green or James Burbage once brought Shakespeare some weed not knowing what it was, and after getting high, Shakespeare was all like, to be or not to be, got rich and famous, and then went his entire life trying to find more weed, hence the other substances found in that pipe. But hey, that's just a theory, a high theory. But now, let's talk about Queen Victoria. Queen Victoria might not be the first person you'd imagine puffing on a joint, but history has its surprises. Back in the Victorian era, our dear Queen was quite the savant when it came to pain management. Prescribed cannabis by her royal physician, Sir J. Russell Reynolds, Victoria reportedly used it to relieve menstrual cramps. This makes her one of the earliest known VIPs of the Medical Marijuana Club, proving even monarchs need a little herbal relief now and then. No word on whether it made court affairs more amusing, but one could certainly hope. Although this one is proven to be true, unlike Shakespeare, it isn't quite as, well, entertaining is the right word, I guess, as there really is no proof that she ever smoked that OG, just put a few drops under her tongue. Did she ever have the munchies? Did she ever get intentionally high before, let's say, a play to make it more enjoyable? I guess we'll never know. One can only ponder about the royal rotation. George Washington. The $1 bill, America's first president and perhaps its first agricultural innovator in the realm of hemp. In his days, tending to the vast fields of Mount Vernon, Washington got quite savvy with his crops, particularly hemp, which was used primarily for industrial purposes like making ropes and fabrics. But here's a little historical nugget. Washington wrote about separating male from female hemp plants. Now, to the untrained eye, this might just seem like good old farming, but those in the know might wink at the idea that George was onto something more recreational. I mean, why else fuss over female plants known for their higher THC content? Well, there's no smoking gun or smoking pipe, as it were, to prove he partook himself. It does raise eyebrows, and maybe even a few smiles at the thought of the father of his country partaking in a bit of the herb. Of course, there are some other reasons why George could have wanted to separate female plants from male ones, but I just can't imagine being so into weed farming and not even once being curious enough to smoke it. Can you? Probably not. So conclusion, I think he smoked. You think he smoked? He smoked. Herodotus. Often dubbed the father of history, he had quite the knack for detailing the quirky habits of ancient cultures. In his tales, he mentions the Scythians, a group that really knew how to throw a smoky party. They weren't just tossing burgers on the grill, but were burning cannabis seeds to whip up a bathhouse-style smoke fest. Imagine this, ancient warriors chilling in felt tents, getting secondhand highs from hotboxing with hemp. Which leads us to Alexander the Great. Some cultures around his empire used cannabis, such as the Scythians, who, as I mentioned earlier, Herodotus noted used it in steam baths. However, there are no records or indications that Alexander himself used cannabis. His conquest did bring him into contact with many different peoples and cultures, so it's likely he was aware of various herbal practices. However, connecting him directly to cannabis use is, well, fight on! Light on. Unlikely. Louis Armstrong. The jazz virtuoso with a trumpet and a grin as wide as the Mississippi had a special relationship with gauge, his preferred term for marijuana. Armstrong wasn't just casual about his cannabis. He considered it essential to his music and well-being. He famously said that it made him feel good, didn't make him mad, and that he couldn't forget it even if he tried. So integral was marijuana to his routine that he wrote to President Eisenhower advocating for its legalization. We always looked at pot as a sort of medicine, a cheap drunk, and with much better thoughts than one that's full of liquor. Wise words if I do say so myself. For Armstrong, weed was a part of the jazz lifestyle, keeping him cool in the face of the era's hot prejudices and even hotter jazz clubs. Carl Sagan. The Cosmos' personal tour guide was not only fascinated by the stars, but also by the starry effects of marijuana. Under the nom de plume, Mr. X, aka Sagan, extolled the virtues of weed in an essay that spoke of it as both a source of profound philosophical insights and a simple pleasure. He argued that cannabis had a remarkable power to enhance curiosity, appreciation for art, and sensory experiences, essentially deepening the user's connection to the universe. His private use of cannabis was a tool for scientific meditation and personal enlightenment, a kind of mental spacecraft exploring the uncharted territories of the human mind, all while maintaining a vigorous career in astrophysics. What a G! His appreciation for weed was not just about enjoyment, but also an intellectual pursuit, adding a layer of contemplation to his stargazing. This one is one of my favorites because it really just proves that weed doesn't make a hardworking person lazy, it makes a lazy person lazier. And in the case of Mr. X, no, not you Elon Musk, Carl, it's awesome to see an advocate for weed that isn't a rapper or a retired athlete, but an esteemed astrophysicist. No, not you either, Neil deGrasse Tyson, we all know how smart you are. Final person on our list, and the most prominent in Zaza use. Everything he described makes sense to me, as although I'm not hippie enough to say my Zaza destruction is due to me wanting to deepen my connection to the universe, I do however prefer to play No Man's Sky high as balls. Thanks for watching. Oh, and Alexander the Great was the fake one. He didn't smoke up. Sorry.
You know, back in the day, if you wanted to get high discreetly, sorry bro, but there was no way. I mean, you got the J, which stanks up everything. You got the bong, which although doesn't stank as much, where are you gonna hide it? Imagine trying to sneak by your parents on some... What you doing dropping shit at a time like this, boy? Downstairs, I came for, I came down, I wanted a glass of water, yeah. Boy, you must be neurologically disabled if you think that'll excuse you from breaking some dusty-ass dollar store piece and spilling bong water all over my goddamn living room. No, it's... Here, take a smack of this shit.
It'll get you proper, boy. Well, that sounds like a pretty fun... Anyway, point is, you're not gonna be hiding that shit for long. Only real option you had was the pipe. But bro, at that point, you sacrificing everything you got for one high. Like, I swear, the pipe is the last way anybody in their right mind wants to get faded. Every time I hit it, it's like my lungs and throat revert back to factory settings. Like I ain't never inhaled anything besides O2 before. Basically, by smacking the pipe, you're hurting your lungs and throat to the point it kind of fucks up the first 30 minutes of your high. And that's exactly why when the first Pendjamin was invented by the scientists at Yodiland, it changed the game, bruh. Never before could you get obliterated on the go regardless of where you were or what you were doing. And thanks to that, getting high has become so damn easy, you got motherfuckers making obliteration their normal state. Never before could someone do anything even remotely sus and you could just assume they were fucking high. My man had sunglasses on for no reason, faded. Dude was staring somewhere for a bit too long, obliterated. Dude went to White Castle for a culinary experience. Well, that motherfucker's just weird. Goddamn cafeteria food. And you can forget about gas stations and fast food places. I mean, at this point, it's like damn near mandatory to be blasted on the job. And I got nothing against that, just since 90% of the time I find myself at 7-Eleven, I'm fried too. And the motherfucker that's supposed to be helping me is trying to scan my items with his damn iPhone. Nah, but for real, the pace that these fried motherfuckers work at is fine when your brain is running at the same low frequency. But if you're in a rush, it'll take damn near every ounce of mental strength you got to stop yourself from forcing a damn self-checkout.
Would you like a bag with that, sir?
Fuck no, here's the money, just give me my shit. But don't get me wrong, I got nothing against a good old Pendjamin. There really ain't a better on-the-go, fast and easy way to get faded. Unfortunately, I didn't go to college and kinda cheated my way through high school too, so the 15 or so brain cells I was able to develop that keep me from losing and forgetting shit turned into, well, basically zero. And for that reason, I've already lost 2 of them. One of them slipped out my pocket while I was at the movies, and I'm pretty sure some teenagers stole it, cause after the film, when I was looking for it with my flashlight and shit, these motherfuckers were giggling in the back, looking at me like I was a damn circus clown. Coupled with the fact I was fried as fuck, I was fighting my tears. Dog. I just got robbed by some damn teens and I can't even do shit cause it was illegal to even bring it in there. Second one I lost in a very similar manner. As I was getting out my Uber going back home, my sweatpants did me dirty and flinged that fucker out as I was standing up. Took me 2 minutes to realize, and when I did, my Uber driver was probably already hitting that shit cause when I called him back to ask for it, he said,
Let me check. It seems that you only left me a $1 tip. Sorry, I couldn't find it.
And that one hurt the most because that was the first pen I ever had and the one I used for my first Pendjamin adventure, which my first time was, well, by far the highest I have ever been in my life. I'm talking freaky, I'm talking third person. Shit, it was the first time in years I truly greened the thaw out. For you see, normal weed or bud is just that, normal. So the strength of it is confined in the realms of reality, unless you know it, it's moon rock. Anyway, the biggest difference between smacking a pen versus, let's say, a J is that the pen doesn't have normal bud in it. It has concentrate, which if you're unaware like I was, is about 10 to 20 times stronger than bud. Knowing that, the best way to get faded off the pen is by just taking small rips to avoid getting sent into the goddamn shadow realm. For example, the YouTuber Damien Luck 925 is very well known for taking multiple blinkers, which is the biggest hit you can take, outside in social situations, most notably in random classrooms, like it's nothing. So me being at my USA Airbnb alone in the confines of my living room, thought to myself, okay, so it looks like the basic hit I should do at least is 1 blinker, but probably more. Yet what was waiting for me on the other side of Blinker City was something I was not prepared for. Something unholy. The voices. I'll never forget the horrible things they were whispering. They made me almost delete my YouTube channel. Anyway, it started with me ordering a 1-gram pen off of Weed Amazon, and it arrived the very next day in a beat-up Cadillac with a delivery man who, from the looks of it, tests out every product he delivers just, you know, to make sure the quality is there. Yo, bro, you're here for the weed, right? You got the cash? Yeah, I ordered through your website, though. It should be paid for already. Yeah, I forgot I take online orders now, too. Anyway, here's the stuff, bro. I trust you. Hey, thanks, bro. Have a good one. You too, man.
Hello,
Hello, Mr. Bro. We got a delivery for you from Weed Amazon that should be arriving in an hour or so. Will you be home then?
Wait, didn't I just...
I'm a gorilla in a fucking scoop. Gonna pull up to the zoo.
Oh, I better get out of here.
So I went back to the crib, Benjamin in hand, and prepared myself to get faded. And obviously, I went for a blinker my very first hit. But since I had never smacked a pen before, I inhaled it for about 4 seconds and stopped because it was so light on my throat, I thought it wasn't working, but it actually was. And from that 4-second puff, I was already quite bamboozled. But since I have this weird rule of every time I get new stuff, I break it in by doing a massive hit, I thought, well, fuck. I was supposed to do a blinker, and went for it again. I inhaled and inhaled for a good 8 to 10 seconds, but the thing just wouldn't fucking blink. It got to the point where there was tears coming from my eyes and my throat was begging me to stop, and it ended up like... I had made a grave mistake. I was so fucking high, I felt my soul leave my body. I was so high, I forgot I was even high. But it was just the beginning, cause over the next 10 minutes, I just kept on getting more faded, and the demons in my head kept on getting louder and louder. But if you know me, I kinda refused to green out, so I just kept on doing random shit like reading the ingredients list off my bag of M&Ms, reading the comments on my videos.
Change that dark blue. Do things has changed career. Imagine her being another YouTuber.
Kill yourself!
Was not doing good. I was keeping a strong facade, but inside there was a war going on. I was feeling like Naruto with the Nine Tails, only instead of an all-powerful destructive force talking to me, I was just really fucking high. Anyway, so yeah, I was grading out, which hadn't happened to me in years, and I concluded that because the voice of reason was completely being outspoken by the voice of tweaking. The good news is though, the hype from the Benjamin doesn't last too long, and in about 1 to 2 hours, I had started coming down, but at that point, I was already crawled up in my bed, scrolling endlessly on my phone, until I finally reached a state where I felt good enough to come out of emergency mode and order some food and ate myself into a food coma. So I learned, well, firstly, that motherfucker Fulcrum is actually insane, or his tolerance is just something else, bro, and that the Benjamin is best enjoyed in puffs of 3 to 5 seconds and not blinkers.
The Plug, a holy being that will always be there for you, especially when you don't need him, and also occasionally when you do. And because I don't live in the fancy America, where all the big vloggers and TikTokers are, I still rely on the Plug for my Zaza. But after years of buying from different plugs, I always wondered how much money do these guys actually make and what are the requirements to be successful in the profession? Well, finally, after the introduction of a new, scientifically enhanced type of grass, HHC, I kinda got the answer to these questions, and I'ma be honest with you, it ain't what I expected. As I said before, it all started with the introduction of the so-called new and improved ZA, HHC. And because it was new and regulations had not been set, even in my Stone Age country where an 18-year-old can buy a liter of vodka and drink himself to death, or just get hammered and get the sudden urge to call out the 6'5" undefeated heavyweight MMA fighter at the club because, well, when he sees red, bodies start dropping. Anyway, since this was legal and I am a law-abiding citizen who wouldn't even dare to jaywalk, I thought to myself, this is the perfect moment to see what being the Plug is all about. Furthermore, because most dudes in this country don't know anything about strains, hash, bud, and just take whatever the Plug has, I didn't need to worry about people thinking I scammed them. Also, your boy conducted a thorough inspection of this new product, using only the most delicate and scientific tools possible. Oh, okay, I hit that shit through a Red Bull canning. It kicked pretty nicely, so I dubbed it Verified Lab. After securing half an ounce of the Verified Lab, which is 14 grams in European tongue, I went to work on finding customers. And obviously the best place to start is on Snapchat. So I took a picture of the Zaza with the caption, $15 per gram, hit me up. Which is a steal, because, well, it sold for 20 a G here. And unfortunately, I only got one sale, cause I guess most of the people who I knew smoked Verified Lab were plugs themselves and knew of the existence of HHC and that it's like $6 a gram. But I was still determined to flip them packs and make them racks, so I hit up the most trustworthy plug I knew who actually had people in his contacts who smoked Verified Lab. But we're not in the business of trapping themselves. After a thorough business meeting where we may or may not have smoked the grass ourselves, he conducted that the gas I had was indeed worthy of the title Verified Lab, and offered to buy it all for 12 bucks a gram, which I mean, I got it for 8.5, so I obviously said yes. At first I thought that was all. I made a nice profit of about 40 bucks and was feeling good. But after about 2 days, I got a message from the plug I conducted business with reading, "Bro, that shit sold out quick. Can you order more? I think I can actually sell this stuff for 25 a G, cause people want the same stuff real bad." Now, I think you are currently pondering two questions. Why didn't he just order more himself? And how the hell did these dudes not know it was HHC? Well, the reason he didn't order more himself is quite simple. He is a full-time OG plug, so dudes does not have a bank account to order stuff. And to answer the second question, I truly don't know. I couldn't really believe it myself, but I guess most owners really don't give a fuck about news and staying up to date with it. In the words of the great plug himself, these dudes just wanna get as up as possible. They don't know nothing about no THC, HHC, CBD, BBC, NBA, MMA, nothing. Anyway, it all sounds great, right? Everybody loves the Verified Lab and are willing to pay premium for it. Plus, it's all technically legal and I don't even need to sell it myself. Well, it would have been, but there were two problems that made it a bit more sketch. You see, the issue with HHC is that it's a chemically produced product. All it actually is THC with a couple extra hydrogen molecules. And through thorough research, both practical and scientifical, I found out that HHC is very unstable in nature, meaning one patch of the same strain can truly be Verified Lab. But then the next patch made with the exact same ZA and same way could be some whack leftover Reggie. It's because it's very hard to control how well this hydrogen molecule binds to the THC, and not financially worth it to control the potency of each patch. So you could order that shit once and get some damn moon rock, or like the first experience I had with HHC, get some damn oregano. And the second problem was the plug I was conducting business with didn't want that risk all to himself, so I would have to cover the upfront costs of the HHC and then give it to him where he would hopefully flip it for 25 bucks a G, which I would receive 15 bucks a G and him 10. So here I was with quite the pickle of a conundrum. Should I order a whole ounce of HHC, which by buying an ounce you get the best price per gram, but I risk it being whack Reggie? Or should I just order a fourth, therefore lowering the risk of getting whack product, but also lowering the profit margins? And the conclusion I arrived at was the best of both worlds. I ordered half an ounce just like before. After receiving the good, I gave half of it to the trustworthy OG plug and waited for that passive income to roll in. But unfortunately, it was as I feared. The stuff I got this time was still good and solid, but it just wasn't the Verified Loud I received before. So the OG plug was having trouble marketing it as premium ZA and lowered the price to the industry standard 20 bucks a G. But unfortunately, dudes were catching on as well, and some of them refused to buy the ZA cause they could just order it online. Like, yeah, you can, but wouldn't you rather buy from your friendly neighborhood plug? I guess not, cause after a couple days, the OG plug sent me another message. Yo, this stuff ain't moving like before, and people catching on about the origins. I have half of the stuff left. If you want, I'll buy it out for 10 bucks a G, or just return it to you. Which I hesitantly chose the first option, so I had him just buy it out. Yet there was still the issue of the 7 Gs or so I had left, which I initially planned on flipping, but was unfortunately unable to, cause mofos knew I got that shit for pennies compared to the asking price. So I did as old plugs would do and dubbed the leftover HHC as my personal stash, and just started blazing my own product, which was kinda stupid in hindsight because a couple weeks after, HHC was illegalized, as we all knew it would be, and became a rarity in the ZA industry. Which mofo started flipping that shit for 30 bucks a G, like goddamn, it ain't even that different from normal ZA. Anyway, by the end of it all, I made a bit under $100 in profit, or in another metric, about 10 Gs of ZA, which I smoked myself. So really the conclusion to my plugging experience was I got free grass, which was a bit underwhelming cause I was hoping to become the local Pablo Escobar, if you know what I mean. Moral of the story is don't get high off your own supply, or at least if you want to be a businessman. Oh, and also don't sell illegal things, cause well, this HHC was legal, so I could have technically flipped it on Facebook Marketplace or something.
Do you smoke? A question that has been asked frequently ever since the early 1900s, but unlike the early 1900s where that question was mostly targeted towards cigarettes, these days, depending on your age and location of course, it probably means, do you enjoy sparking up a doozy at 8 p.m. to either watch Family Guy or ponder the meaning of life? No in between. Which, although smoking anything is harmful for us, I do believe we are moving in the right direction, aka the direction of less addictive cancerous chemicals. But don't get me wrong, Zaza is not good nor never will be good for your physical health. Although one can make the argument for mental health, only problem being 90% of that stems from, I feel like it helps, or I'm happier when I'm high, which in no way confronts the root of the problem, but rather serves as a temporary solution. But who am I to tell you if you're smoking too much weed, bruh? You have to figure that out yourself, because every situation is different. What I can and will do in this video though, is outline every level of cannabis consumption, how they may affect your health and life, and give you a better understanding of when and how a semi-unhealthy controlled hobby can turn into a straight-up addiction, to hopefully educate the public about the most important thing when it comes to anything in life: moderation. So let's start off with level 1. A casual. The casual is someone who smokes up only on occasions and almost exclusively with friends or family. At this level, you might be sparking up once or twice a month when a homie invites you over to hang out. And the reality is, you don't even really care about the weed part so much as the hang out part. You understand that smoking isn't good for you, but you also know the person you chill with likes to do so. And who are you to tell your friend how he or she should live his life? This is truly a wonderful level to be at, as being high is always eventful and joyful. Unless, you green out. Anyway, I think this is obvious, but at this stage, you don't have your own bud, bong, or really anything related to the za, as your homie always just hooks you up. Which, unfortunately, most of us don't have a friend like that, or used to, but have since leveled up to the point that they're the ones hooking the homies up. But we all know free za always hits better. It's just one of those things. Level 2. The weekend smoker. The weekend smoker is someone who has evolved from only getting high for the sake of being on the same wavelength as the homie to someone who has grown to enjoy the effects of marijuana even alone. But don't get me wrong, you are still aware that smoking is not healthy, but you also know eating Ruffles is not healthy, doom scrolling is not healthy, yet you still do them from time to time. Getting high has become something you look forward to, but since you're not smoking up every night, it's usually always accompanied with some activity you have in mind, aka I can't wait for Friday so I can smoke up and play Minecraft. I'm excited for Saturday so I can smoke up and watch Dragon Ball Super. Something like that. At this level, you're also definitely not smoking up frequently enough to start worrying about the financial implications buying weed comes with. At most, you're getting an eighth once a week and rolling a couple J's, or maybe if your friend was generous, he'll give you his old bong.
Protected with your life.
Personally, this is the level I have tried to stay at, but well, it's kinda hard because at this point you have your own weed, and if you're doing something fun at night, it kinda tempts you to do it, well, high. And once you give into that temptation, you'll move up to level 3. The daily reward. You've come to really enjoy your weekend highs, so much so that you've decided, screw it, it's Tuesday, there'll be no hangover like with alcohol. Yeah, I'ma smoke up. I would consider this level the last one where you can still say you are not addicted, just really enjoy hanging around while high. The only problem being, weed has become an integral part of your routine, which has removed some of the wonder that accompanied it in the previous levels. As before, being faded got you moving extremely irregular, but since irregular depends on your perspective of regular and you're pretty regularly high, your actions while under the influence, although still fun, don't make you feel that, oh shit. Where I'm going with this is that before the idea of doing your daytime activities while high seems scary, now they kinda seem like they might be a bit more fun instead. Also, you now know about strains, hybrid, indica, sativa, all these terms mean something to you. You might even have multiple strains at the crib, and depending on your nighttime mood and plan, you'll indulge in the one that suits you best. Whether you're looking to unwind after a long day or energize for a night out, there's a perfect strain to match every occasion. But don't get me wrong, you're still using the za as a sort of reward for a hard day's work to relax and chill, so you still have self-control, which, well, kinda starts fading on level 4. Gee, why not? Why not, you think? I ain't really got nothing much to do anyway, I'll just do a quick rip and make it more enjoyable. Getting high during the day can be a slippery slope, cause once you do, you'll realize that, wow, this is kind of fun. And so you might start dedicating your sativa stash to your daytime adventures, but there is a catch, a rather steep price you must pay when you reach this level. Because you are now high during the day, smoking up at night loses that reward factor it used to have. You're slowly getting to the point where the feeling of normality is being faded, and due to that, getting high at the end of your day is just standard procedure, not your special fun time, if you get what I'm saying. Another huge difference that comes at this level is of course your tolerance, which has gone way up along with your money spent on weed. And to counteract those, you have had to start buying in bulk, so instead of eighths, you now have ounces. But holding so much bud is a double-edged sword, as having over an ounce available at any given time also messes with your sense of how much you're actually smoking. Whereas one full bowl of bud taken from a grinded eighth visibly decreases the amount you have left, a full bowl taken from a grinded ounce seems like nothing, which all of these things compound, kinda like the stock market. You're taking bigger and bigger hits each day, which most people would start to realize that at this point, it's kinda hard to label your Zaza destruction as a controlled hobby when you're not just high during your night goblin time, but also your daytime, and start lowering your consumption. But if you are not most people and still believe that you are in control, you'll move on to level 5. Zaza Fiend. A cigarette smoker can smoke a pack a day, which is not so good for your lungs. A Zaza Fiend can smoke 5 to 10 J's a day, which is also not so good for your lungs. Whereas before, you could point to that cigarette smoker and say, "You smoke the same amount in a day that I do in a month. We are not the same." Now you point at him and he points right back, which kinda sucks, not gonna lie. Being high has completely lost its wonder. It's more a monthly subscription to live your life normally and be in an alright mood now. You'll start to notice you got a bit of a cough. You got some stuck at the back of your throat pretty often, and you also can't remember what you did 2 days ago and beyond. "Oh no, I was high as balls," you say jokingly, holding back your tears, because the reality is you weren't high as balls. You smoked a lot of weed, yes, but you weren't all that high, just normal high. Although you can't really get physically addicted to weed, you absolutely can mentally. "I can quit at any time," you might think, and you could maybe, but oh boy, it will not be easy. Wanna play a game? Gotta get high. Wanna watch a movie? Gotta get high. Need to go to the store? Might as well get high. Everything is done high. Your lungs have not gotten a break to cleanse themselves, and your brain has not gotten a break either. In fact, it has gotten so used to being high, it feels pretty shitty without it. We could talk about your tolerance, but well, you probably know where that's at, on that maxed out endgame plus level. Personally, I've only ever gotten this far once, back when I was in high school and it was summer break, because I learned pretty quick that, well, it's by far the worst level to be at. You're smoking an insane amount, sometimes even back-to-back bong rips, but the feeling you get from it is not even that fun. On top of that, you're spending an unholy amount of money on bud. I mean, it's gotten so bad, your monthly Zaza costs might literally exceed your grocery budget. Got you setting aside half your paycheck just so you can feel okay. Might be time for a tea break, don't you think? All these levels are supposed to just give you a reference to where you're at, and the reality is you'll probably be bouncing around them, not stick to one forever. I usually try to keep my consumption on level 2 or 3, but that doesn't mean I don't dabble with the 4th level from time to time when, like, I don't know, a new Monster Hunter game comes out and I want to fully immerse myself in its world by getting an ounce of Zaza, locking myself in my gaming dungeon and going into goblin mode for a week. Just whatever you do, don't ever get to the last level. There's literally nothing positive about that place. Key takeaway, moderation is your best friend. You know, the line between a fun high and a you done high is very thin, and that shit is no joke. Sometimes all it takes is just one extra puff. And that's when I finally realized that dude was not talking about no Coca-Cola to drink.
Wait, but I did buy this weed from him. I wonder if...
No, wait, it can't be.
Everybody stop right now! I think we're all smoking crack!
Hey, yo, see, you got any more of that weed you gave me yesterday? Oh, it's really good shit. Yeah, I really liked it. Hey, yo, so you have some. Hey, yo, give me, I'll give you anything. I'll fucking suck your dick. And that's exactly why you can never trust a plug who also sells that Coca-Cola, if you know what I'm saying. But your weed being laced with a substance that'll change the chemistry of your brain and make the pursuit of your dreams and happiness into the pursuit of concentrated 1900s Coca-Cola and ruin your life forever is the least of your worries when you smoke up with a bunch of sad boys. Now, don't get me wrong, mental health is very important and you should never keep everything inside because your loved ones want to help you. But bro, ever since Juice WRLD dropped Lucid Dreams, motherfuckers will find any reason to be depressed.
I still see your shadows in my room. Can't take back the love that I gave you.
Yo, what's going on with you, bro? Like, you've been acting really sad as of late.
You wouldn't understand. I'm depressed. There's just no point to anything.
Wait, but you weren't depressed 2 days ago. Oh, you're on a sad boy phase.
Sad boy? No! Oh, fuck, I guess I am.
Yeah, bro, how about we go to Salamander's place, get obliterated, and play some Super Smash Bros. Instead of whatever the fuck you're doing here?
Yeah, what am I doing here?
Yeah, let's just get out of here.
1 hour later.
So, Ricky, you still sad? Nah, I'm having a blast. Wait, but you were saying something about, like, someone's shadows you were still seeing in your room?
I don't want to talk about that.
And that's the story of how we were able to stop Ricky from becoming a full-time sad boy, just in the nick of time. But besides almost losing a friend to the song Sad, exclamation point, there have been 2 extremely scary highs I have gone through. One was instigated by the Popo, man, fuck the police, and the other was from the fear of losing my life. Let me set the scene for you. I'm in high school and I've smoked maybe 3 or 4 times ever, but the last time I did was months ago, so my tolerance was damn near at the level of smelling some grass and getting faded. Anyway, so I had a couple friends who have been asking me relentlessly to get some and get faded because they didn't know any plugs and really wanted to try it. So one weekend I decided to finally fulfill their request and hit up my homie Salamander and acquired the exotic. The weekend came and we found ourselves in my dorm room rolling a J, which, well, I had to roll it and it took me a while because my stats were low AF. Basically, I was out there trying to pick an expert level lock with 0 points in perception, dog. After going through 20 papers, the abomination was ready though, so we went deep into the local park and sparked it. Barely, because that shit had almost 0 airflow. I had to relight the damn thing after every puff. Yet that was definitely not even close to the worst part, because these motherfuckers who were begging me to get the Zon in the first place were scared shitless to get high, so I ended up smoking like 80% of the J myself, leaving me absolutely zoinked in a group where nobody else wasn't. So you can imagine I was feeling pretty betrayed, and also a bit scared, because if you've ever been obliterated in a group where no one else is, you know that you feel kind of like an alien abandoned by your comrades in a hostile planet, and that feeling was amplified by the fact that these friends of mine were kind of dickheads. Because after puffing down the J, we went to the local gas station to get some munchies, and of course I was fiending for some trans fat, so I asked them if they could go in there and bring me the stuff I wanted, and I'd of course pay them back. Pretty reasonable and easy, right? Being that I was the only one who was blasted and scared of getting caught. I guess fucking not, because these pussios who didn't even inhale the fucking weed told me that they wouldn't bring me anything if I didn't come in, which, I mean, these days I wouldn't mind, but I was like 17 and it was a Friday night, the prime time for cop patrol, so I had no choice and went in there tweaking out of my mind like...
Oh, fuck, this place is full. Shit. Wait, it feels like they're all staring at me. No, I think I'm just high. Okay, let's just get out of here. I'm not gonna order anything. Okay, fine. Go to the corner. Hey, yo, bro, I'm gonna just take some chips and candy, okay? And can you give me the car keys so I can just wait it out in the car while you guys wait for your food? Yeah?
No.
What? Why? I'm not even gonna turn it on, bro.
Cause, bro, I got an announcement to make.
This motherfucker high as... Bro, shut the fuck up! That ain't funny. I'm baked as fuck, you pussy.
Okay, but yeah, you're not getting the keys. So basically, these scumbags just decided to torture me, and because I had to wait for their food anyway, I went to order some too, and as I was doing so, 3 girls from my school approached me at the counter and were like, yeah, I'll have a dog.
Hey, see, I heard you guys smoked some weed, yeah?
Well, no, I'll have the dumplings, yeah. But yeah, we definitely didn't.
We're all super duper sober bober.
Yeah, you did. Dwayne said so. You got some left? You can come to our place if you have some. We really want to get faded too.
And in that moment, I had to pause and rethink my whole life, because I did not in fact have any left, because I wasted it all on my rinky-dinky sausage party bum fun enjoying friends. Which, if I would have had some left, I could have gone to these girls' crib and smoked up with free hot chicks. But no, I donated all the weed to Dumber, and me, the dumbest. And after that realization, realization of alliances, I changed the famous saying, bros before hoes, to bros who aren't hoes before bros. And I live by that to this day. But the scariest part was yet to come, because as I was waiting for my food posted up at the ice cream station, a cop walked in. And that just set my tweak meter to a whole new level. I felt my heart rate spike to like 200 and I was shaking, just begging God for him not to walk towards me. But he fucking did. I avoided eye contact at all costs, but it seemed he had his eyes set on me. He got closer and closer until he was standing right in front of me. Fuck, why is he here? He knows I'm faded, doesn't he? Oh shit, I'm fucked. I'm going to juvie. This is over. Oh my God, I'm gonna fucking die.
Yes, officer?
Could you move out of the way, please? I want some ice cream.
Yeah, of course. My bad.
Thanks. Nothing better than some good old Ben & Jerry's to complement a sour diesel joint. Shit, fucking fire. Okay, the last part maybe didn't happen, okay? Anyway, the build-up, the weed, the cop, everything combined gave me some of the worst anxiety I've ever had, but the relief when he just wanted some ice cream was equally amazing. I had gotten away from this horrid situation, and once we got our food, we went to a hangout spot where I got really cold and tweaked again. Overall, I'd rate the high a 7 out of 10 just because it was eventful and I got a nice adrenaline dump, but it would have been a damn 9.5 if your boy could have gone to the girls' crib and got faded with some hot females instead of my pussy friends, goddamn. Although this high was quite stressful, it did have its highlights. So yesterday, I was packing myself a big ol' hit, as per usual, and thought to myself, man, I'm really hitting this out from this wacky silicone machine-crafted laboratory-grade piece. Like, what happened to the Apple BONG, the can BONG, the good old spliff? And so today, I'm coming at you with the 5 levels of smoking grass, and how your equipment to do so evolves, along with your mindset and shit. Starting with level 1, the noob. This is the level where you still think the Za is some type of magical space unicorn shit, cause well, you've never done it, but your friends say it's crazy. So one day, you and the boys hear of a dude called Dragon selling grass in the school bathroom, so you band your money together and go acquire the grass. Once obtained and a safe area found, your friends are like, how are we gonna smoke this? Which, depending on where you're at, you're gonna end up either with a crappily handcrafted spliff or an aluminium can with holes in it. Whichever one you choose, you're gonna get faded in a hoe that night, and either fly with the happy space unicorns or get tortured by thoughts like, I hope my mom doesn't call me right now. Is this ever gonna wear off? Was 9/11 an inside job? And if your first experience was the latter, then you probably didn't advance to the next level, at least for a while. But if you had a fun old time and continued to smoke up with your buddies, at some point you'll find yourself at level 2. Why does she always make my throat burn? After a while of smoking the Za from spliffs or from some shitty Mountain Dew can, you finally think to yourself, maybe I should invest in something that makes it so my throat doesn't want to eat itself inside out every time I take a hit. So you go online and buy the cheapest BONG you can find. Excited to use your new acquired technology, you invite your friends over and get faded in a hoe yet again. But it's different this time. Because the BONG doesn't destroy your throat as much, you can actually kinda take consecutive hits. So being the genius you are, you do that and ascend into Yodi Land for the first time. After the ascension, you begin to wonder though, how high can a mortal man truly be? Which the answers to those questions are still a ways away, but after a quick Google search of how to get more high, you discover something called the Gravity BONG, and soon after go into level 3, the Zaza Man. Eager to try out your newfound powers of gravity control, you yet again invite your friends over and take a smack dabbly do off that thing. Which what follows is actually not as crazy as before, cause even though you all did get faded than a hoe, you also got sleepier than a hoe and got knocked out on the couch pretty fast. So you vow that the next time you use the powers of gravity, you'll drink an energy drink or something so you won't fall asleep like a baby. Even though it is pretty nice sleeping like a baby. Anyway, at this point, your friends are probably like, yeah, nah, that's a bit much. But because you're a crusader and haven't yet learned the lesson of moderation, you still want to get even more faded. So back to Google, and now you find yourself basically with 2 options, edibles or dabs. But because this is the 5 levels of smoking grass, let's just say you chose the dab pen. And shortly after, you move to level 4.
The Fortnite cart. After the obtaining of the Benjamin, you test it out with your friends, and you get faded in a hoe yet again. But the reality is, your friends just want to smoke normal za, cause the Benjamin kicks too hard for them. But you still haven't learned moderation, so you call them wackos and waddle your way to Benjamin City alone. While at Benjamin City, you're like, more high, must get more high. And there's only one more item to fill your never-ending quench for tolerance destruction, and that is level 5. Bro, what the fuck? You got a damn science station here with Dabrix? They're, well, unnecessary is a way to put it. I mean, bro, you know she has gone too far when you gotta look at the instructions on how to get high. Plus, your friends don't even really want to try it out anymore and urge you to go on a tea break, which, after realizing that all your money has been going to your need to get higher and higher, you're kind of forced into one, which, after, hopefully you'll move on to final level. Ascended. Finally, you realize smoking za isn't just about getting as high as possible, because every situation has its own limits of fadedness. So if you're just going out on a night out with your homies, best thing to do is to smoke a spliff. If you don't want to get faded in a hodo at home, do the gravity, and so on. The true power you have over all the other levels though is you've already gone through all of them, knowing that you can manage your tolerance correctly and smoke up with the appropriate tools for the appropriate situations.
If you've ever bought from a plug, you probably know about that teeny tiny voice in your head that goes, "What if it's laced, bro?" And although 99% of the time that's just you being paranoid, the other 1% it might be warranted. Which brings me to the time I was dead certain the grass I bought was laced. But you know, I still smoked it. The day started like any other. I woke up, ate my Captain Crunch, worked out, made some videos, and now after a productive day, was looking for some za to smoke up and watch some Elon Musk vs Zuckerberg fight breakdown videos. Personally, I got the Reptile King on this one. Anyway, the bad news was, I was out of grass. And even worse, the plug I usually buy from wasn't answering, so I had to get creative. First I tried to scrounge up a hit from smacking the shit out of my grinders and using a card to move it together like I was about to do a line in the back of the nightclub. But alas, after all my effort, I was left with only a smidgen of a hit that was 50% dust and dirt, so although I really didn't want to do it, I knew I had to start asking around for a new plug. And so I did. And after about 30 minutes, I was given the Snapchat of a seemingly high-level devious criminal, and I concluded that by his Snapchat username, which was free straight money emojis, and I'm guessing he chose this name just so everyone knew. I am a drug dealer and I make a lot of money. I shot him a message reading, "Yo, can I get one?" hoping that he would respond unlike all my other plugs, and just a few minutes later, I was blessed by a message reading, "Yeah, nice." All I needed to do now was ask when and where, which he responded swiftly with an address that was very close. So I hopped in my Urus. Sorry, I have a Lamborghini Urus. Yes, this is a fact. Spread the word, guys. And pulled up on the spot where I was expecting to greet a killer tattoo. Nah, actually, I'm too experienced now. I knew it was gonna be some high school kid. They're the ones who always use emojis for their plug Snapchats. And it was exactly what I thought. A scrawny looking kid with glasses pulled up, dropped the bag in my car, and dipped. Well, I also gave him the money, but nothing really different or alarming had happened during this altercation. As I was driving back home though, I took a quick little sniffington from the bag and well, that shit was smelling a bit sus. I can't quite describe the smell cause it did stank like good za. There was just a certain chemically fragrance to it as well, but regardless, I brought that za home and before I smoked, I did a bit of googling. How to know if your grass is laced? You can tell if your bud is laced by putting it in water and seeing if anything melts out of it. Bruh, ain't no way I'm putting this grass in some goddamn water. Ah, fuck, it seems good to me. So yeah, I didn't really practice a lot of precaution. I mean, worst case scenario, I accidentally smoked crack. But anyway, I loaded up the hit and took a smack dabbly do off that thing. And at first, I couldn't really tell nothing was wrong. I mean, I was on the couch feeling like a medium rare filet mignon, but that's just being baked. Until I suddenly started getting real paranoid for no reason. Like, not paranoid in what if it was laced, but paranoid in... Hey, what the fuck was that? Hello? I'll have you know I'm a certified demon hunting boxing champion, bruh. I'll knock your nun ass out in an instant. Oh, hell nah. And yeah, you saw correctly. This got a grown-ass 6'6" athletic specimen of a man to go under his blanket cause he thought he heard a monster, bruh. And I swear, for the entirety of the night, I was low-key hearing things like I was an inmate in Arkham Asylum or something. So safe to say the whole mellow me out part was negated by the paranoid demon fearing. At some point though, I got a serious case of the munchies, and I knew I had to leave my safe zone, aka my blanky wanky, and go downstairs to raid the fridge. And so I did, but this fucking dimensional rift grass got me bugging out, bro. I was feeling like I was 7 years old again, afraid of the boogeyman coming to take me away. Thankfully, I was able to tweak my way to 2 hood dogs and a couple of sugar sandwiches. Recipes I developed myself. Watch the video in the top corner if you want to know more. But once I got the food on my plate, I ran back upstairs being real careful not to stay in the darkness for too long. Basically, I was this old Vine video. Worst part was though that this so-called laced grass didn't let me sleep either. Like literally, I almost pulled an all-nighter looking like Golem up in my room. Until at 7 AM, I did finally somehow hit the hay. Anyway, this is the only time I ever actually believed grass to be laced, cause it just seems unprofitable to actually do that shit. But I'm still not sure, it might have just been some mighty paranoid demon grass. I guess we'll never know, cause the experience was awful enough for me to flush that shit down the toilet. RIP 0.8 G's, bruh. And obviously, I removed that new plug from my friends list, cause I'm not trying to be the victim of our town's first supervillain. Cause if that shit was indeed laced, no way I'm about to go buy some Joker gas from Dollar Store Heath Ledger again. I think a lot of you guys can relate when I say I f***ing hate nicotine. No, I mean I love it, but I actually really hate it. And if you watch my Types of Nicotine Addicts video, you know that I consider myself a seasonal addict, so pretty much I might be nic-free for a whole 3 months or something, but then fall back into the trap like, life is so stressful right now, I swear, I got so many problems and worries. I wish I could just somehow relieve some of this stress, preferably in blueberry flavor. And then I have to start fighting my own damn brain, cause it just starts telling me reasons why I deserve that blueberry stick. You haven't vaped for months. Just buy one, come on. You had a rough day. You deserve it. You have a long day ahead of you. It would be much easier with a little bit of cancerous chemicals.
Like, no. F you, brain. I shall not fall under your illusions again.
Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. But fool me. Well, shit. And I don't even know why. Like, whenever I have something I need to do that I don't really feel like doing at the time, my brain automatically gives me the signal to go buy some Nick. Like, why? It doesn't actually make the task easier. Shit, all it actually does is make it harder, cause you get all lightheaded and dizzy. Every time I get a week or more off the stuff, I feel great and am as productive as ever, but for some reason, my mind still believes if I just had some nicotine, I would be even more productive. It's kinda the same with grass though, cause I always feel like I'm getting shit done when I'm high, but in reality, I'm working at like 30% capacity, but it just feels like I'm working at 200, cause the ZA makes everything feel so significant, even just doing a small amount of work feels like you just finished studying for them Harvard entrance exams, fool. Anyway, back to nicotine and how I got accidentally addicted to it again. So basically what had happened was I was just doing what I normally do, you know, making videos and shit, when suddenly I was invited to a barbecue. And you know, me being the CBD bro I am, I ain't really wanna go cause I had shit to do. Plus, you know, everybody was drinking there and I was just trying to smoke that grass. But reluctantly, I accepted, and not to my surprise, everybody there was consuming that Nick one way or the other. And well, long story short, I cracked and took a nicotine pouch from one of the people there. Well, by the end I took like 7 or 8, but that doesn't matter. And my dumbass thought, well okay, just one day. But then the next day I went out with some friends and by the gods, 2 of them were also carrying nicotine pouches, so obviously I did some more. And then the same thing happened the day after that, and by the end of it all, I just went ahead and bought a fucking Elf Bar. Cause I guess all it takes to go from months clean to Elf Bar in your pocket sucking on a colorful stick when stressed, unable to control your urges hobgoblin is 2 days of stuffing your gums with nicotine pouches. Thankfully, I didn't let myself go too far, cause after that Elf Bar, I didn't buy any more, but instead placed myself in specific social situations where I was able to receive free nicotine pouches from others. And that's what I'm on at the time of this video as well. So basically, I don't have my own vape or whatnot, but every time I go somewhere where someone does, you better believe I'm asking for a quick hit. But don't worry, I try not to be too much of a goblin, so usually I cash app like $2 to the dude I'm borrowing the vape from. It's kinda hard though trying to explain to people like, yeah, I don't vape. Only when someone else has a vape, then I vape quite a bit. But hey, that's what's helped me quit nicotine like 5 times by now, although I always end up coming back to it after a couple months. Nonetheless, it helps because in order to get my nicotine kick, I have to go out and socialize, which can be quite hard if you also want to be faded and watch Star Wars Theory at home. So a lot of times, I just don't go, and therefore don't vape. It's only when my nicotine addiction outweighs my desire to be high at home when I go out and vape. And because I'd rather watch Disney Plus and munch on some Doritos than just sit somewhere and suck on a nicotine stick, I've been able to control my nicotine addiction quite well, I think.
Moon rock, a type of weed that has been designed to bamboozle your frontal cortex and get you moving extremely irregular. Apparently so much so that Snoop Dogg himself finds them too strong and has warned
rock
against
is
the
too
use
much,
of these
dog.
intergalactic Obi-Wan Kenobi exotic nugs.
But CBD bro, you already smoked moon rock a year ago.
And yes, technically I did, but as I learned to discover just a few days ago, crumbling a Moonrock J into a bowl isn't even close to the real thing. But why did we buy a pre-roll instead of actual Moonrock that day? Well, you see, the J was $15 and the nug itself was $50, so I was just trying to save a little bit of money, I'm sorry. Now that we have that out of the way, let me set the scene for you. I just spent 24 hours going from airport to airport, flying my way to the USA of A. So I had what you might call jet lag, or a better way to put it, a non-alcoholic hangover. And if you know me, after a hard day's work, I like to indulge in that motherfucking top shelf gas. So right after getting to my apartment, I started scheming, cooking, fiddling my thumbs on my electronic mobile device in search of some dank weed, brah. And that's when it occurred to me, I hadn't smoked up in over 2 weeks. My tolerance must be damn near 0. Yeah, I don't want to overdo it. What's that stuff I smoked in Amsterdam again, though, that had me find demons? Moonrock? Nah. That'll disrupt my circadian rhythm. Wait. My circadian rhythm already is disrupted. Shit, Moonrock might just undisrupt it back to normal. So there I was, having made up my mind with absolute logic that could not be argued against. I concluded that the only thing potent enough to cure my jet lag was my dear old friend Moonrock. And remember how I said I found out a few days ago that what I smoked in Amsterdam wasn't actually Moonrock? Yeah, well, the few days I was referring to wasn't some random Google search. This shit would end up getting me so galactically obliterated, I scrambled to find out if I had smoked some lace grass, only to discover that the hole I dug myself into was no one else's fault but mine, god damn. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself here. After browsing the interwebs for a while, I found a place that sells Moonrock at an affordable price. So me, a carless man, decided to use the extremely sophisticated and thorough public transport system of the United States. I told you this was your last day, Johnny. I'm sorry. Just give me one more day. I'll pay it all back. I promise.
Rest in pepperoni, you damn crackhead. Holy shit. Did I just hear a dude getting shot? Thankfully, I'm safe on the
We looking for ops, young niggas letting out shots. They don't give a fuck about the cops. We clutching them ops.
So, after taking a bus I'm assuming was operated by the Crenshaw Crips, I arrived in the fabulous dispensary and was ready to get my dank Moonrocks.
Hello, sir. How may I help you today?
Yeah, I'd like to purchase some Moonrock.
Sure. Do you have your ID or passport?
Yes, I do. I came prepared.
Yeah, checks out. That'll be $120.
120? I said I want Moonrock, not diamond encrusted weed.
Well, that's the price. You want it or not.
Yeah, okay. After being bent over and having all my saved up rupees finessed, I held in my hand Moon Rock. Not a cheap Moon Rock J, some real sticky, icky, dank smelling nugs that looked like they really were from the moon. Unfortunately, that wasn't the end of my financial troubles because I was almost certain I had 30 minutes earlier heard a man being shot and killed near the bus stop. I didn't want to have my fade ran by the nearest gang affiliated Moon Rock smelling thugs, so using the money I was hoping to buy food with the next day, I instead got an Uber. Oh yeah. After arriving back at my apartment, I made sure that this time I would do things right. So I googled how to smoke Moon Rock and was instantly greeted with a mistake I had made. Or I don't know if it was a mistake, but this tutorial said to pack your bowl full of your favorite flower and then add a couple chunks of your Moon Rock in. Which obviously I didn't do because I only had the damn Moon Rock. Damn, I swear it was easier last time. This shit's sticky as fuck. Oh, well, screw it. I'll just pack it full of Moon Rock. What's the worst that can happen? A grave mistake. A skibbity lapse in judgment. I was not at all prepared for what was to come, even though I thought I was. And the reason for that was my false understanding of how potent this shit actually is. I had smoked Sunrock before, but did so from a J, which is not really how you're supposed to do it, making its potency noticeably lower. And the Moon Rock I smoked in Amsterdam was apparently just a J covered in keef that we crumbled into a BONG, and on top of that, when you consider the copious amounts of top shelf Zaza we were smoking prior, I think you might be starting to see how this is gonna go.
Here goes nothing. Holy shit. Okay, I know where this is going.
The instant the first bit of high hit me, I knew I was fucked. But CBD, bro, it's just weed. No, you don't know what you're talking about. The first wave was eerily similar to when I hit the Benjamin for the first time, doing 2 blinkers. And if you remember that video, you know I was about to go through one hell of a trip. I rushed back inside and put my bong and other gear away as fast as I could before my IQ would drop to the level of a 4-year-old. Then I proceeded to put on some random YouTube video about P. Diddy, expecting to be entertained, only to find out he's coming for you. He could be anywhere. Justin Bieber. Oh Lord, what did he do to him? Beyonce too? No, she's in the Illuminati. All the single ladies, all the single ladies, all the single ladies. Yeah, so I definitely chose the wrong subject matter to accompany my near green out, and I was 100% starting to tweak. So I finally decided to stop with this P. Diddy stuff, as it was not doing me any favors.
Okay, chill. I'll just put on some music.
When you're rich like this, you don't think the forecast every day's gonna rain. Yeah.
Wait, it can't be.
No, not you too. Drip too hard, don't stand too close. Drown out this wave. After realizing that a lot of the music I grew up with was the product of an alleged monster, I was rather sad. So I tried to instead play video games, hoping that if I focused on guiding my brightly colored Fall Guy from falling off the map due to the extensive obstacles in his way, I would be fine. Okay, Fall Guys, let's play some Fall Guys. How much a man can fall. Fallout 4.
20 minutes later.
Yeah, I remember I used to love Call of Duty. Nuketown was the shit. Wait, I was supposed to play Fall Guys, man. What is this weed? I can't do shit. I could not focus on anything, bruh. Well, I say anything, but I really mean anything positive. As if I were to let myself slip for even just a moment that day, I could feel every single cell in my body. And when I'm that freakishly high and I start focusing on that little ache I have in my back or the speed of my heart rate, it takes me to Tweak Town real quick. I was trying to keep myself busy as best I could, but everything I did, I was either reminded about the horrors of P. Diddy or started overanalyzing if that pork chop I ate 5 hours earlier might have been undercooked and about to give me some food poisoning. Which, what the fuck am I gonna do then? I can't call the ambulance. I'm baked as fuck, and I'm in the US. It would cost me like 50 grand, bruh. Thankfully though, like with all grass highs, it's all in your head, and unless you took some Potent Eddies, it starts wearing off in a couple hours. So all in all, I learned that Moon Rock is way more crazy than I thought, and that I should probably revisit its more potent brother Sunrock as well, cause this trip left me wondering, what would happen if I smoked that shit properly? The first day back at school, a day I used to hate. I mean, can you blame me? Cause as a student, summer is the only significant amount of time you are granted to enjoy your young life, and the rest, well, back to the academic 9 to 5. But to make the clown show that is the first day back at school a bit more fun and exciting, me, Salamander, and Ricky conjured up a devious plot to add a little bit of spice into the mix. It all started on the night before the first day. We were all at Salamander's place just chilling, playing Xbox, eating Doritos, and smacking the Benjamin, of course, when the conversation sailed to the topic of going back to school. It was the usual,
Man, I don't wanna go back to school. Yeah, bro, same.
until Salamander, the troubled child he was, or is, I don't know, said, "Hey guys, you know what we should do tomorrow before the opening ceremony?
No.
We should totally spark a J." Nah, man, you know I don't like getting faded in school. That shit is so stressful. Nah, hear me out. This ain't school. It's the first day ceremony where they sing, read poems, and I don't know, maybe someone will do a flip or something too. So, wouldn't it be more fun if during all that we were faded? He's got a point. Okay, but just a little. You better not bring some abomination of a spliff like last time. Shit, you know me, I wouldn't do that. We decided to smoke up just a little bit before the first day. A little bit was what we agreed upon. So obviously, Salamander, being the trustworthy homie he is, would never peer pressure nor instigate a friend into smoking more than he wants. So obviously, he only rolled a small split. Okay, so here's the J. Bruh. This mofo heard my request of a small J to get only a bit suited and decided, okay, small, microdosed, small J, medium. Nah, fuck it, fat. But anyway, here we are, on the park bench outside the school premises at 8:30 a.m. during wake and bake hours. And well, because me and Ricky are men of integrity and honor and would never waste Frieza, we fell to the bamboozlement of Salamander yet again and smoked the whole thing. Whereas right after, we were running a bit late, so the three of us Soint Musketeers stood up and started walking intensely to school. But honestly and thankfully, I wasn't very paranoid, unlike most of the times I got high at school, because, well, it was the first day and we didn't really have any classes except for only one introductory welcome back type thing that was supposed to last only 45 minutes, so not a big deal. Once we arrived at the auditorium, we were shell-shocked to find out the speech was already going on, and because we were looking like a couple medium rare filet mignons, we didn't really want to go in, because we knew when we opened that door, everybody would stop and stare at us, because that's just how it always is when you arrive to class late. And although Salamander was telling us, "Nah guys, don't be pussios, let's just go," we ended up sitting out the first part until lunchtime, cause we were pretty sure we wouldn't get in trouble if we just said we missed our bus or something. 30 minutes went by and lunchtime came, and because we were camped out at the cafeteria, we were the first to get their welcome back to school lunch. And what was that wonderful, significant, mouth-watering dish, you might ask? Well, it was nothing but Munchie's heaven. We were served some beans, a boiled egg, and some turkey meat or something. Oh, and I can't forget the 1% milk that tastes like it was mixed with water. Fantastic. But even though the food should have been pretty dog poop, it was actually pretty aight. I mean, it wasn't no Big Mac and McNuggets, but because we were high, it was edible. No. I would even go as far and say it was pretty good. After eating our gulag food faster than everybody else, we were the first back in the auditorium, and because of that, we got the best seats in the house, at the far back corner where no one could see us. And although we had missed the only important part of the day, that being the introductory speech by the principal, we did have a jolly old time listening to the honor students' inspirational poems and songs about life by giggling and chuckling in the back like, math. Hey yo, chemistry. And with that, the first day had come to an end, and we went back home and played Xbox High. 10,000 BC, a group of cavemen in the Oki Islands of Japan needed some warmth and wanted to start a fire when they discovered a funny looking green plant, and either out of curiosity or desperation took it and inadvertently created history's first ever hotbox. Yet this early grass was not that loud that people be smoking today, because as we know, over the years the za has been scientifically and artificially cultivated to be much more concentrated in the high it gives. So although it is funny to think about a group of cavemen purposely starting a fire in a small shelter for the sole purpose of getting faded in a hoe, it is unlikely that it actually ever happened. Yet aside from this iffy recreational stint in Japan, hemp was first commonly used in the lands that are modern day Mongolia and China for more practical uses like eating it. Which, after saying that, you might be imagining something like this. Yo, what's up? How you doing? Had any fun with those new seeds I gave you?
Yo, nah, I actually came here to give them back. Last night I was looking at the moon and I swear that motherfucker was looking right back at me.
But alas, this probably wasn't the reality because the THC levels in this early cultivated Zaza were just really low, but soon the Chinese would discover that the holy plant's fibers were also great for making stuff too, like clothes, paper, and bowstrings. Which turns out hemp fibers were superior to the bamboo ones used by rivaling factions, allowing the Chinese to shoot their arrows much further. So basically, back in the day, if you were having a long distance bow battle and were losing, you might have screamed out, "We need to get closer! These motherfuckers have weed!" Anyway, it wasn't long after mofos realized that the loud wasn't only good for making stuff, it was also great for treating physical maladies. And after a couple thousand years, Emperor Shen Nung, known as the father of Chinese medicine, included the magic plant in his medical encyclopedia under the name Ma. Which, that sounds oddly similar to Za, doesn't it? I'm guessing every couple thousand years the first letter changes or something. But now, let's explore the question we're all asking. When exactly did mofos start ripping that shit to get faded? Well, one of the earliest counts is about 2,500 years ago, when researchers discovered 10 mini barbecues in a cemetery near modern-day Tajikistan that had residue of burnt cannabis with a much higher concentration of THC than normal, probably meaning it was selectively bred to get you, well, lit. Although this was one of the first counts of people purposely inhaling the broccoli to get high, it was most likely used as part of a ritual to invoke an altered state of mind so you could communicate with spirits.
Which shit, dog, I wanna know what these dudes were smoking, cause I ain't never heard of no grass that gets you to the spirit realm.
This might have low-key been the last kush Snoop Dogg smoked, cause once you get so high you start communicating with your dead gran-gran, that's when you really might be like,
Okay, I think it's about time I stop smoking this shit.
Since cannabis for one reason or another proved to be quite the useful plant, people started trading it around the world as soon as it was domesticated. Which the only people who didn't really fuck with the Zaza were Europeans who preferred getting hammered instead, which is low-key reflected in modern times too, especially in the northern countries where once you turn 18 you can drink as much poison as you want, but if you want to blaze, well, you might be looking at a little bit of jail time, my boy. But now let's quickly go over the uses of cannabis throughout different cultures so we can move on to the modern age, starting with Hindus. They made something called Bang, an edible cannabis paste that had medicinal properties but also got you high. This could be added to a variety of foods and drinks, which this Bang was the preferred food of the Hindu god Shiva, making him in my eyes the god of edibles.
Disclaimer, that was a joke.
Islam. Here the za was called hashish and was introduced about 1,000 years ago, which hashish wasn't strictly forbidden in the Quran at first, so a lot of Muslims ate it for its medicinal and relaxation properties. But later, Egypt basically banned it, and also the Quran was revisited by many and reinterpreted to include hashish to be banned just like alcohol. The Vikings. These dudes basically used the za to make rope, sailcloth, and other things, but also for its medicinal properties, mostly to relieve pain, and to date there's no hard evidence that they consumed it for its recreational use, but you know, maybe they should have, because they were quite the horrendous savages and murderers, so it might have made them think a little bit about peace and love. But what about America, England, and the actual global world powers? How did they react to weed? Well, again, like the Chinese, Europeans and Americans at first prominently used the magic green plant in the 16th to 18th century for more practical things like making sailcloth and rope, which the plant itself grew much larger in the New World soil, and combined with the practicality of it, everything started being hemp-derived. Clothes, paper, well, basically anything that required fibers. But the question still remains, when did mofos start smoking that shit to get blasted on the regular? Cause although at some point you, your neighbor, your grandma, your boss, and even George Washington were out here growing weed, wasn't nobody out here rolling them up. Well, until the arrival of Mexicans. The loud version of hemp them first arrived in Brazil in the early 1500s by way of enslaved Africans traveling with the Portuguese. And the native South Americans, who are already consuming some other psychoactive substances, quickly started blazing the Zaza too, and its use soon spread across South America and into Mexico, from which in the 1910s is when the loud first spread into the US via Mexican immigrants escaping the effects of the Mexican Revolution. And almost immediately the good was viewed as a threat, and by 1931, 29 states had banned its use. Although it wasn't really the Zaza that the US didn't fall with, it was unfortunately mostly just racism against Mexican Americans and black citizens of the South, which both these groups were enjoyers of the Za to some regard, so it became a scapegoat for racial bias in the US, and they blamed it for everything from petty crimes all the way to murder. And in 1937, the US completely banned all non-medical use of weed, which all of this kind of explains why the mostly peaceful plant has been thrown in the same Schedule 1 category with full-on life-destroying substances like heroin and cocaine. But thankfully, a couple decades later came the hippie movement of the 1960s to 1970s. This is what likely sparked the comeback for weed, cause unlike before, when the Zaza was mostly smoked by Mexican immigrants and black citizens who the US was massively racist against, the hippie movement had middle-class white American youth start blazing too. Which it was all about love, peace, spirituality, non-violence, and of course, every hippie's favorite, recreational drug use. Although most hippies were all about peace and love, that was quite easy to say when most of them were literally privileged enough to drop out of college, run off with Cassandra in a rainbow van, go on copious amounts of mindset-altering trips, mostly powered by LSD, and then return 10 years later to their parents and have them say,
It's okay, son. I was young and stupid once too.
Anyway, although the grass was still federally illegal, this didn't really do much, cause in 1976, 1 in 8 Americans over the age of 12 admitted to smoking it in the past 30 days. Hippies though were especially interested in cannabis, so much so they went on something called the Hippie Trail, which was basically an excursion by the youths of the world to go over to the Middle East and India, all while riding in magic buses and discovering new ways to get absolutely blasted, such as smoking the concentrated Zaza resin known as hash. But acquiring the Zaza would soon get much harder, because you see, most of it came from Mexico, so in 1969 the US started patrolling the border, and in 1975 they got even more aggressive and started spraying herbicide on Mexican wheat plants. And so good old supply and demand made grass prices skyrocket, which a lot of people started then growing the plant themselves in mini greenhouses, closets, bathtubs, storage units, basements, wherever they could. But then in 1982, Mr. Smarty Pants Ronald Reagan took it even a step further by encouraging the streamlined arrest of anyone in possession of an illegal substance, which was really dumb because most of the focus was on pot, all while crack, meth, and heroin were all still being transported and consumed on a regular basis. Even worse, this enforcement seemed to be racially motivated because despite plenty of traffickers and consumers being white, the majority of arrests were Latino and black youths, all while this bizarre over-focus on cannabis allowed the growing opioid epidemic to go unchecked. But thankfully, the US is slowly learning from their mistakes, where today 24 states have legalized the recreational use of marijuana. On top of that, the increased level of research on it has also found multiple medical use cases and can be prescribed to you by special doctors if seen fit. And although the Zaza is still federally illegal and a Schedule 1 drug, the overall perception of it has changed for the better, including in December 2022 when President Biden signed a bill to make it easier for researchers to obtain plants for their studies, which will hopefully accelerate the learning of positive and negative side effects of consuming the Za even further. But all that aside, the overall vibe towards the loud has gotten a lot more accepting, and these days more and more people view the smoking of the grass not as you being a junkie, but the same way as having a couple beers with the homies on a Friday night and watching some WWE. The first high, a core memory, and whether you enjoyed it or not doesn't really matter, cause for 95% of people, their first time literally shapes their entire opinion on the grass. Almost everybody who isn't age 50 or over and says, "Weed is the work of the devil, and should be more illegal than even meth." Well, actually it is. The Za is Schedule 1 and meth is Schedule 2, so...
Yeah, that's right. That's why I love America. Greatest damn country in the world.
USA! USA! USA!
Anyway, what I was saying was that most people who tweak their first time are put off by it for a while and shape into za haters, and people who have fun their first time, believe it or not, don't all become mindless junkies who eat Little Caesars and watch SpongeBob all day. Rather, when asked their opinion on weed, they'll probably just say,
My stomach turned into an endless void with an unquenchable hunger for anything edible, which was followed by a sleepiness so uncontrollable I passed out halfway into my 25th Twinkie. It was pretty fun.
So obviously me, CBD bro, who runs an entire YouTube channel dedicated to the green plant, must have had the latter experience, right? Well, not really. As you see, when I was but a wee lad, uncontaminated by the forbidden fruits of the world like alcohol, nicotine, and yes, weed, always believed that alcohol makes you homeless, nicotine makes you a little bitch, and weed makes you lazy. Thinking that, I didn't want to waste not just my first high, but my very first time feeling anything besides normal on eating Doritos and watching Family Guy. Which, after turning 17, I decided it was about time I lost my substance virginity and planned to do so on Christmas dinner, where I was gonna let El Marijuana put its big, fat, thick, juicy, delicately rolled J in my mouth, but only after I had eaten, as I believed if my tummy was full, I wouldn't get the munchies and could instead contemplate the meaning of life my time high. And thankfully, I had an older brother who was more than willing to give me a puff or two from his Christmas dinner J for $4, the fucking cheapskate. So we went upstairs and started puffing, which Rezex was instantly bamboozled from the magic grass. Nice, it's not a dud. Now it's my turn. I grabbed the J and puffed until I could puff no more. And the result was, I didn't feel a damn thing. Still had to pay the $4 though. Fucking bullshit. Anyway, as we went through the day, I got increasingly more jealous of my brother, who by his words was fried AF. I was beginning to think maybe I'm immune to getting high, which after telling my brother this theory, he concluded that I'm stupid and just didn't inhale the za in my lungs, and so generously told me to follow him upstairs, where he gave me a couple more puffs for an extra $4, the damn venture capitalist. As I was smoking away, keeping in mind to inhale it all the way down to my lungs, I still wasn't feeling anything, and my hopes of getting fried AF were beginning to look more like a distant dream. When I finished puffing, I sat down at the computer to look at some of those watch while high videos, and my brother asked me, "So, you feel anything now?" No, I don't. What's this weird I'm not sure. I don't know, seems to me you're fried like some Kentucky chicken, boy. I was indeed fried, and incredibly so. Although I didn't smoke a ton, my body had never experienced anything besides a sugar rush and maybe a caffeine kick. So as I was watching this watch while you're high video, I was laughing at everything and was tripping the out. But not in a bad way, it was freaking amazing. Being high was what I always imagined it to be until... bloop. I'm sober again. Yeah, you heard right. My first high lasted like 30 seconds, and in an instant, I was back to normal, which I don't know why. Even to this day, when I tell people about this, nobody can relate because no one has experienced this phenomenon. But since I'm a scientist, I have developed a super duper concrete theory backed by quantum mechanics and the late great Stephen Hawking on my experience, and overall the reason why a lot of people who smoke their first time don't feel anything. I theorize that all humans have a natural block against foreign substances, a wall per se, and when an individual inhales za, the particles act kind of like micromissiles targeting your cannabinoid receptors. For the people whose defensive wall is strong enough, it will stop all perpetrators attempting to infiltrate your brain. But this wall isn't regeneratable, so if the micromissiles fail to get you fried at first, the next time they'll have an easier time against your already damaged wall of defense. Now, I bet you're thinking to yourself, this mofo been smoking too much of that Einstein pack. And to you, I say maybe, but also I have practical proof of this theory. I used to be a pro baller, and one day me and a couple hooper friends who all have great immune systems and therefore probably good za defensive walls decided to smoke up, and to my buddies, it was their first time. Once we lit the J and passed it around, I made sure to tell everybody to inhale the smoke in their lungs, which I'm pretty sure they all did, but still, I was the only one who got high, cause it wasn't my first time. But when I smoked up with some of my non-athlete first-timer friends, they all got high like normal. So, conclusion, defensive saw wall is a real thing and I stand by my theory. Anyway, although that was my first time feeling high, I wouldn't call it my first high because it only lasted for half a minute. My first real high experience was something even more memorable and etched to my brain until I die. A couple weeks after the last incident, me and Riz X decided it was about damn time I actually felt the true loving touch of the Mary Jane. And this time, instead of having only scraps of za, we bought a whole gram to hopefully destroy my highly speculative za wall. I think it's real. Also, at this time, we were obsessed with freestyle rapping, so we decided the plan of action was to smoke up, eat candy, and rap battle to copyright-free beats while recording it so we could listen to our unreleased tracks in the morning. Since our parents were away for the night, we got the whole apartment to ourselves and planned on rolling 2 J's, both containing 0.5 G. Since we were petrified at the thought of getting caught blazing, instead of being sensible and smoking the J's near a window and just blowing the smoke out, we put our jackets on and walked 500 feet away from the apartment to light up, just to be sure that there wouldn't even be a microfiber of evidence that we were smoking the devil's lettuce. As we were consuming the J, all I could hope for was that this time I wouldn't just get a limited free trial, but the actual full version. But alas, when we finished puffing the J, I again felt nothing, or at least that's what I thought, cause as we arrived back home, I finally realized that,
So you feeling it?
yeah, kinda. Sometimes the high hits you a couple minutes later, especially if you're going from outdoors to indoors as we did. And my highly accepted theory in the science community about this phenomenon is that through evolution, we have always considered indoors to be our safe zone and outdoors dangerous. Therefore, when you're outside, your brain doesn't allow the full faded and relaxed effect to take over, probably in anticipation of a roadman coming and chefing you up with the mandem. Okay, this one I'm not so confident in, and I have to come clean. I am in no shape or form associated with the science community. Yet. Anyway, now that we were high and in the living room, we started putting on some beats and freestyling, and to this day, I have yet to replicate the skill and precision of my flow that high. It's hard to explain, but nowadays, I can't rap for shit. I mean, I'll spit one line and be like, yo, I've been getting money making racks, cause you know I'm flipping packs. That's facts. Yeah, that's it. Basically, I run out of rhymes pretty fast, but that day, I did not. In fact, even when my brain had nothing to say, my mouth rapped it for me. I turned into a freestyling robot and became dead sure that I was gonna make it out by dropping a mixtape and becoming a famous rapper. Until we listened to the recording in the morning and realized, yo, flowing on the go. Your girl, she a hoe, making money dancing with a pole. My girl making dough while doing lines of blow. Cause we in the penthouse, baby, living life, and that's for show.
Yeah, I'll try YouTube instead.
What's crazy though is that after that, I was never able to replicate the auto rapping again, so my rap career never flowered, but who knows, maybe I'll try to convert this channel into lyric videos and shitposting, all while steadily alienating my audience and killing my channel. Or maybe I should just make a separate channel for that?
Everybody's first time doing edibles is always the same. First you eat them, then you wait for like 25 minutes, then you confidently proclaim, "These edibles ain't shit." And then for the next couple hours, you just drift away further and further into that. The government are reptiles, the ocean is fake, the earth is a cube, and I must slay the Ender Dragon tonight. In my case, my first edibles really weren't shit, cause we accidentally might have forgotten them in the oven and burnt that THC into CO2, but we didn't let that discourage us from trying again the next day. So me and my brother, still fueled by the disappointment of yesterday, wake up at 9 AM and start plotting our next move. We only have 1 gram left, so if this fails, we're pretty much screwed. One thing you might not know about making edibles is if you're throwing straight grass in the oven like we did, then be prepared for the whole house to smell like Snoop Dogg's living room. So we had to carefully time our cooking so that when our parents got home, the house wouldn't smell like the plug's car, if you know what I mean. And this time, we did everything right, and after an hour of feeling like the stoner versions of Gordon Ramsay, we held the finished product in our hands. But before we devoured the THC cookies, we decided to go to Grandma's place, because she lived in the countryside and it was a beautiful day, so we thought it would be nice and chill there. Also, Grandma always is strapped way up with the candy, the cakes, the chicken, the steak. She got all the munch a man could ask for. So we're driving 20 minutes away and decide to eat them Eddies. so that by the time we're there, it should start kicking. Yet, when we arrive, we still feel nothing. We say hi to Grandma and sit down in the living room.
Bro, maybe we messed him up again.
Nah, I don't think so. We did everything by the recipe this time.
Yeah, let's wait a little more. It's been 40 minutes though. Should be feeling something at least.
Yeah, I feel you. Well, anyway, I'm gonna go take a shit. So I hop in the bathroom to empty my system real quick, and I suddenly feel it.
Bruh.
Then I hear some music coming from the living room and get intrigued. I finish my business with the toilet and go to the living room to find my brother jamming it out to some old ass radio playing some Elvis Presley or something. I wanna call him a dumbass, but I can't, cause my body starts moving by itself. This music is peak, there is nothing better. Until the next old song comes on, and it slaps harder than Chris Brown in 2009.
I'm obviously talking about his music in 2009, not the incident with Rihanna.
At some point, we had enough of the old-timey radio, so we turned it off and sat down on the couch to discuss our next move.
So, how high are you?
Yeah, I'm high.
Yeah, me too.
Real question is, do we take the second cookie? Now, we had baked 4 edibles total, so we had 2 left. We didn't plan on eating them that day though, because from what we had heard, edibles are supposed to hit their max in like 3 hours after consumption, so obviously I answered,
I think we should, bro, for science.
We took the second cookies out of their folium wrapping and ate them
with some milk.
Then we decided to go swimming, cause shit, why not I guess. As we're walking to the pond, I suddenly think to myself, am I cold? And then it hits. I start shivering and feeling like a warm pizza roll in the freezer. I'm not supposed to be here.
I can't go on, I say. I'm too cold.
My brother looks at me with disappointment in his eyes like,
so that's all you can take? A tinsy-pincy little edible and you get scared of the cold, eh?
Now, keep in mind, this was when I was 18 and I wasn't quite the 420 god I am today, so I had this thing where if I got really high and it wasn't walk around in your boxers type of warm, I'd start overthinking that I'm cold and then I'd actually start feeling cold.
But I said to myself, no, I won't let these edibles control me.
And I decided to push through the unwavering cold and fight my inner demons
at the little pond over there.
So we pull up to the pond and it's time to go swimming. And it wasn't that bad actually. The water was pretty warm and once I got used to it, I stopped shivering. So pretty much the edibles had cured my crippling fear of the cold. We start walking back to the house and so far I thought I was suited to the max. But then the second Eddie kicks. And bro, this was the high I had read about but never believed in. It was psychedelic. My vision was crazy, like everything was 30 FPS and I could see an after image of my hand when I moved it. So at this point, there was no way I was doing anything else, so we went upstairs to our room and just started doing the randomest stuff, like inspecting objects, looking at the ceiling, munching. But the one thing I did that I don't recommend doing at this stage was looking in the damn mirror. It was crazy. I was not moving in sync with myself and I felt like the mirror version of me was from the other side, like Stranger Things or some shit. After like 30 minutes of doing things, we got really tired. Just standing up and functioning had become an immeasurably difficult task. So even though it was only 9 PM, we decided to call it a day. But I couldn't sleep. These 2 monster cookies got me overthinking everything, laying on the bed, eyes wide open like,
bro, what if that really was the Stranger Things version of me? What if he's waiting for me to fall asleep? I don't want to go to the shitty other side. I don't know any plugs there. Where am I going to get my weed?
And when I finally did try to close my eyes, I started tripping way out. Half asleep, half awake, seeing these vivid dreams. Thankfully, at some point I did fall asleep. And not just any sleep, I went into freaking hibernation, cause I was out cold for a calm 16 hours. So I'd say lesson of the story is, if it's your first time doing edibles, wait like at least 2 hours before you proclaim the classic, these edibles ain't shit.
Mushrooms, truffles, call it psilocybin if you're a fancy pants, I don't care. But you will. You'll care about it deeply. You'll question your life. What have you done? Why are you here? What are you doing?
Snap out of it!
Look at your phone. What's the time? How much longer? What? What you just saw is what I like to call the mushroom experience. And I'm not talking about some Gordon Ramsay culinary dish. I'm talking about that 4th dimension. I'm talking about you being Neo sitting in front of Morpheus.
Choose to eat them. and you will see the truth of who you are. Discover your subconscious. Question things that you've just assumed were true. And if you navigate this path successfully, you'll emerge as...
But, well, what Morpheus won't tell you is that if you don't accept the path of the fungus and fight your subconscious instead, you will not, and I repeat, not have a good time. In fact, I think it's safe to say you shouldn't ever tell anyone to eat mushrooms. It never works out. Either they just don't do it, or they feel like they gotta try it and end up just fighting demons for 3 hours, gaining nothing from the experience except more fear. That being said, for education, science, and the furtherment of mankind, I will be sharing my story to educate the public about the dangers of the unknown. So by continuing with this video, you acknowledge that you are strictly watching this for educational and entertainment reasons and will never recreate anything in the video. Please? Was that enough? We'll see, boy. Enter my friend Ricky. Me and him were chilling at his place when we got to talking. You see, I had previously just consumed some interdimensional fungus a couple weeks back and was kind of raving about how eye-opening it was. You know, the basic hippie shit. But Ricky was not buying it, which in my eyes made me feel like I gotta prove him wrong. Now, I think he was such an unbeliever because he's your typical Eastern European blue-collar, work hard, get hammered on the weekend type of dude. Not that there's anything wrong with that, just I wish I would have realized if your favorite thing to do is forget about all your worries and problems by getting drunk every weekend, then mushrooms probably won't be something you'll vibe with, especially if you low-key don't even want to do them. But regardless, I was all like, Ricky, my man, my main man, my brother from another mother. Okay, I get it. What do you want? What I want is for you to want to eat some mushrooms with me tonight. Eat mushrooms with you and talk about our feelings, or hit up Salamander, go to the club, get hammered, pull some baddies, and lay down the pipe. Tough choice. Well, let me translate that for you. Eat mushrooms, chill out, have fun, free of charge. Or hit up Salamander, spend over $100 on drinks and club entrance fees in hopes of pulling a baddie. With, well, so far your track record being 1 of 15, with the singular success being that fat bitch. Okay, you made your point. Let's eat the stupid mushrooms. I probably won't feel them anyway. I had convinced my good old friend Ricky, or at least old friend, maybe not so good. Anyway, he was down to enter the land of mushrooms, and I was down with the plug who had some fungus on the low-low. Although I had promoted this event as free of charge, my financial situation disagreed. So I slowly leaned closer to Ricky and said,
"If you borrow $20 to the mall."
With the funding for our mushroom experience now secured, I hit up Jimmy the Plug God with, and now we play the waiting game. Any moment now. Finally. Yeah, 10G will run you about $100. Ricky, Richard, Rick Dog. You think you can spare an extra $30 for the homie? Fine. With further funding secured from our amazing sponsor, Rick Dog LLC, we ventured into our automobile to go and secure some Chungus fungus. And while we were driving there, I was all like, you know what I want to experience ego death? You get rich and pull hella hoes forever, right? That's stupid, but enlighten me, I guess. Okay, so hear me out. Why do individuals eschew the pursuit of their aspirations and the undertaking of risks, particularly when they are not constrained by socio-economic disadvantages? The answer lies in the nature of the ego, which harbors a fear of failure. This fear arises from a deep-seated concern that we may not be as intelligent or as capable as we believe ourselves to be. Consequently, the ego compels us to remain within the confines of our comfort zone, a realm in which we can entertain limitless potential without ever actualizing it. Damn, you really want to eat those shrooms, don't you? Perhaps. As we pulled up to the plug's addy and hunted him down, we completed our transaction and received a good amount of fungus, which I thoroughly inspected on the ride back and told Ricky the plan. No eating anything 2 hours before ingesting. Drink orange juice or anything sugary to end the trip faster. It takes about 30 minutes to kick and 2 hours to reach maximum overdrive. Any questions? Do they, taste okay? Like an expired can of organic dog shit. Nice. We'll eat it with chocolate, though. Great. We got back to the crib and sat down at the couch next to the table and got all our supplies like orange juice, chocolate, and water. Let's do this. I'm ready.
I can still feel the taste.
Yeah, that'll be like that for a while, but you know, let's take our minds off it with the new Plankton movie featuring SpongeBob.
It's on Netflix.
And so that's exactly what we did. Sat there in anticipation for the fungus to absorb, Among Us. It took a while, and the wait is always pretty anxious because you don't know when they gonna hit. I mean, it could be now. Better check my hands. No weirdness or fuzziness? What about the walls? The TV? Okay. Seem normal for now. Why is Plankton always plotting something?
Dude really got no chill, for real.
They were starting to kick, but the start is easy. When you're at that microdose level, it's basically like being faded. It isn't until a few dozen minutes go by that if you took some Chungus fungus, you're about to start tripping balls, bro.
A few moments later.
Yo, bro, you watching the movie? Bro, I got no fucking idea what I'm watching. That's fair. Might have eaten too much.
Too much? Wait, you're telling me I ate too much?
No, not really. It just like could have taken less too, but what? No spiritual awakening then? Basically. Yo, I gotta get some fresh air. I feel like I can't breathe, man. Shit. Let's go outside then. You're getting me tweaking too, Rick Dog.
Stop calling me Dad. As with every mushroom trip I personally ever had, stage 1 was complete, aka the indoors part, and stage 2, the juicy part, was just beginning. The outdoors wanderer and ponderer. Thank God we did this in spring, cause personally I don't know if I could even handle going outside in the cold while on that Mario Pack. Anyway, we walked around in our small town in the fresh air, basking in the glory of the sun, hoping that we don't see anyone we know and shit. What's up? Y'all trying to come to the club tonight?
Not gonna lie, me and Ricky are more fungus than Big Chungus, and Rick Dog is low-key. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. High-key tweaking out like an Oompa Loompa.
Damn! You two did mushrooms together? That's kinda gay, but well, you know, have fun.
No, don't leave me. Please, Tree. You're all I have. Yeah, we will, yeah.
Ricky, come on now. The tree isn't leaving you. Let's go, get something to drink. So we moved on to the small grocery store in our neighborhood where, according to Ricky, we did not belong. He told me that it feels like everybody is staring at him, and although in my heart I knew that they weren't, the shrooms told me,
yo, this mofo Ricky's speaking facts.
Nah, bro, chill. You've been here enough to know that's not true. It's in your head, son.
Not to scare you, bro, but, you're screwed. The demons are approaching. Ricky? We gotta get out of here right now.
And so we did, with only one thing to show from our efforts, a container of OJ, which turns out does nothing. I mean, every smart shop owner in Amsterdam always says drink OJ to end the trip faster, but ChatGPT told me, nah bro, that's cap. Which I wish I didn't ask him that while on the fungus, cause now all hope was lost. I couldn't even tell Ricky to jug the orange juice, cause I knew it was a dud. The trip really started feeling like a weird nightmare, but I mean not so much because I was tweaking mostly cause Ricky was, and I feel completely responsible for that, cause, well, it was my idea. So I did the only thing I felt like I could. I apologized to Ricky for dragging him into Mushroom Kingdom, which he accepted and told me, it's not your fault, bro. And after that, it was like something clicked, and we finally started vibing, talking about what we were feeling and what we were thinking. Near the end of the shrooms, we were discussing our trip, and if Ricky regretted it, and he said, well, yeah, but not as much as he thought. Because although the first half of the fungus was spooky, the second half did give him some type of spiritual or mental awakening, per se. Not that Ricky was gonna do anything with that. He got wasted with Salamander the next day and spent $200 on drinks, pulling zero hoes in the process. Moral of the story is, magic fungus can make you feel more connected with yourself and your subconscious. Will eating it once with no clear goal or motive change your life? Absolutely not. Or at least, that's what I think due to my experience with Rick Dog.
For the last time, stop calling me that!
The 5 levels of being high. Now, I bet you've seen a couple videos on this topic, maybe even mine, but since almost a year has passed and my knowledge and understanding of the magic rain plant has grown tremendously, I thought it's about time to make the ultimate, definitive, most precise levels of high tier list on planet Earth. And to make it even more fun, for every level, I'ma be getting more high to give an accurate representation of what the level feels and sounds like. So let's get it started with level 1. microdosed. This is the level where you don't really feel anything per se, but you can tell something is different. You have a slight mood boost and your body might feel a bit more elevated. So like if your legs were sore, they probably be more sore now, but if you're lying on your bed, well, its comfortability is probably up about by 10 to 15%. Nothing crazy, but it is noticeable. This, however, isn't enough to give you the giggles, so that Amy Schumer comedy special will still leave you wondering if my vagina is actually comedy or just poorly done slapstick humor. And since I'm currently at this level, I can tell you it also has no negative side effects, so I can still do everything without worrying if I'm too high. Anyway, let's move on to the first exciting level, and that is level 2. I'm feeling it. So you're feeling it, eh? Well, me too. This is the level where that Amy Schumer special might actually forcefully steal a giggle or two from you, but not because it's actually funny, it's more like you're laughing at her rather than with her. Anyway, since you're now feeling it, you also might be feeling that movie a bit more, or that video game. Shit, you might be feeling your own jokes a bit more. Got you laughing at your own thoughts, fool. This is also the optimal high if you still got stuff to do. Well, to be honest, if you got stuff to do, probably better to not be high, but at this level, it's still definitely doable, just a bit more difficult. Another way to look at it is, this is the high the workers at Subway are usually on. Although I have seen mofos way beyond this there too, but for the most part, this is optimal cause the loud hasn't got you moving slow-mo quite yet. As for me, I'm still able to read this script and pronounce my words just fine, so you probably can't even tell I'm high right now. But now it's time to get to the first level where a mofo can feel too high if he's not experienced. I don't know about you, but when I meet a new person and he or she says that he enjoys getting high, I instantly think to myself, this is the start of a beautiful friendship. Although that can't be the case, it's not always, cause even though the excitement of finding a fellow Saw enthusiast is great in a world where some mofos still think it's worse than things like alcohol, sleeping pills, all nicotine and other shit that you can straight up buy from a supermarket. In reality, when you really think about it, it's kinda dumb, cause if it was anything else, would you feel the same? Like if you were at a club and someone said they like drinking, you wouldn't think, oh my god, this guy gets it. Unless, you know, you're an alcoholic, I guess. But anyway, today I made a great list of people I've encountered who smoke the Zaza, but I wouldn't personally enjoy hanging out with. Starting with a well-known one, the dude who makes the grass his whole personality. Nah bruh, I can't stand dudes like this. Like, don't get me wrong, I love a bit of Zaza as much as the next guy, but bro, there's so many other things to talk about and do. The problem with these types of people is that I feel like they've missed the whole point of it all. Cause in my opinion, it's not all about how high you were, it's more about where you were high. Damn, that's deep. Like, I'd rather hang out with a dude who has never been high in his life, but has interesting stories / experiences and doesn't just talk about, yeah bro, I was so damn high last night, I was on planet Venus. Damn, that's crazy. So where were you at? What do you mean? Like, where were you and what were you doing, you know? It must be a crazy story. Nah, I mean, I was just at home on my bed, you know, eating Doritos and stuff. So you were just high in your room all day? Yeah, I mean, yeah. What a fucking lame story. Don't get me wrong, being high in the comfort of your room is probably the best place to be, but like, I'ma keep it $1.25 with you. I've probably been high in my room 100 times by now, and I don't remember a single thing about any of those nights. To me, this experience is more like being in the hub area of a video game after a long and hard mission during the day, and you don't see mofos talking about what a crazy time they had in the title screen of a video game. It's usually, you know, the game itself. But anyway, on to the next guy on the list, who is the dude who will try to shame you for not wanting to get high. You ever met a mofo like this? These dudes are kinda like the previous one, but one step worse, cause instead of accepting that maybe you have shit to do, they'll call you a lame-o or buzzkill or bitch-ass shit-licking, dick-riding, butt-munching, cock-enjoying, sneako-watching soy boy. And for what? Not wanting to waste a day by doing nothing but watching The Simpsons and eating Twinkies? Like, mofos need to realize, although it is great to watch Simpsons and eat Twinkies all day, doing that for 2-3 days in a row, most dudes will feel straight up bad and sad. If you're a human being living in today's day and age, to succeed in anything, you can't be doing that consistently. It's gotta be a special occasion, celebration, or when you've already completed your goals for the day and deserve a break. But hey, at least they don't shame you for the thing this next guy shames you for. The dude who will make fun of you for smoking less than him.
Now, this guy is a lot like the first dude, but with the added minus of he actually thinks for some odd reason that the fact that he has to smoke a whole damn cart to feel high is a flex. Like, sorry bro, but I know dudes who had the exact same mentality and let's just say they ain't end up so good. Like for example, this guy who thought being high is a damn competitive ladder that needed to be climbed. You know, like the army, but instead of protecting your country and pursuing peace, it's all about who can smoke the most crack without dying. Like, imagine this same attitude, but instead of Zaza, they'd be doing this with nicotine. Mofo would be 45, working minimum wage in the back of a gas station with a young guy talking about,
What's that? You still puffing on one cig, boy? I'm puffing on 6 at a time. But don't worry, you'll get there someday.
I don't know if I wanna get there, man. Okay, that's never happened, but I'm just trying to show you how ridiculous this is. And PS, there's a lot more to life than getting high, and I'm definitely not out here being faded 24/7, cause if I was, you'd probably be seeing one video every 2 months. It's all about finding the balance and having the right reasons for inhaling the za. Have you ever met someone who parades the fact that he loves the Zaza, and if you ever say anything bad about it, he gets all defensive and starts frantically arguing about how it's good for you? Like, yeah bro, there are health benefits, but if you're out here doing 8 rips, 4 2 edibles, and half a cart every 12 hours, do you really think you're reaping the health benefits of the za? Mofo be on about, it helps with my anxiety and depression. Like bro, what are you anxious about? Worried that the pizza delivery guy might be an assassin? Sounds more like paranoia to me. And have you stopped to think that maybe the depression you're feeling could be because all you does is sit around, eat pizzas, smoke grass, and watch Disney Plus? But people like this aren't the majority, and overall, when you meet a fellow grass eater, you can expect him to be just a normal chill dude who uses the za to enhance his experiences, rather than rely on it for them. So today, I thought I'd go over some of the coolest dudes I've encountered who consume that lettuce, starting with the za athlete. This is the guy who's always in the gym grinding to become the ultimate specimen of human movement. The thing that's great about this dude is that although he loves the grass, which is generally considered a lazy substance, he doesn't let that stereotype stop him from enjoying it. Although many of his athlete friends might hold it against him, calling him a crackhead, he knows that it's all about moderation and using the za to enhance his recovery and free time experiences. But the best part about a dude like this is that you know he is a solid guy that you don't have to worry about leading you down a bad road, cause he is always mindful of where the breaking point between just having a fun time with the homies and
Hey bros, wanna do some
is. So if you're friends with this guy, you can be damn sure he won't ever peer pressure you into doing something stupid. In fact, he'll probably be the one who will try to talk you out of something like that. Plus, you know, depending on the athlete, he might make the NBA, so best to stay on his good side if you ever want to blaze up in a LA mansion with Wiz Khalifa and Drake and shit. But on to the next dude on the list, the high gamer. I'm not sure how you guys feel about video games, but I've always seen the genre as the highest form of at-home entertainment there is. Although it is a lot harder to truly get into a game nowadays, when you do, the peaks of fun are much higher than watching a Netflix show, for example. Although that's just my opinion and yours might obviously be different. So you better believe it when I say I love dudes who enjoy gaming in orbit, because that's something that two za enjoyers can truly bond over. Now you might be thinking,
everybody enjoys playing games. Ain't nothing special about it.
I'd have to respectfully disagree, because it takes a certain level of power to really sit down well blasted and focused on a video game, cause honestly, most of the time it ends up going something like this. Finally time to play some Elden Ring while blasted. This is about to be crazy fun.
20 minutes later.
Man, screw this, I'm gonna just watch some TikToks. As you can see, it's not that easy, but if you have a friend who's on the same planet as you and you going through the struggle together in a co-op game, it's much easier to get into. So I for one will always have a special place in my heart for dudes who can actually game while blasted, cause honestly, it's not as easy as you might think, especially if the session lasts over 1 hour. But time for the productive and successful Not gonna lie, these dudes are like a rare Pokemon that you might never come across because the requirements to be a dude like this are rather high, but the power he possesses is godly. This the dude that has his own business or works like a sales job or something, which is a highly social and time-consuming practice. But somehow this mofo has done all of this while frequently bugging off the Zaza. He's kinda like the Wolf of Wall Street, but instead of doing lines off a lady's you know what I mean. He's out here taking a fat rip and then minutes later closing a massive deal with some company. I met a guy like this only once, and I won't stand here and act like I was not in awe of this man's power. We were all just chilling, faded AF, when this guy got a phone call, and not just any phone call, it was some company he was trying to make a client for the company he worked for. And me being me, all I could think of was, oh shit, dude must be freaking out being that faded, having to deal with something like that. But no, bro calmly told us he'll be back in like 10 minutes, went to the other room and closed the deal, or at least that's what it seemed like. I swear, some people just have a godlike stress tolerance, cause man, I can be out here faded and get a call from my mom to pick up some groceries, and that shit will have me stressing out if it wasn't in my initial plan. I guess what I'm trying to say is, for 95% of people, if you high every day, you're gonna get lazy and content with your position in life. But there are people who can manage to pull off this lifestyle and still be successful, and god damn do I respect that. Although I'd imagine that if they weren't high all the time, they'd be even more successful. But hey, what do I know? Anyway, next guy on the list is the artsy dude. Now, this guy isn't exactly what you're thinking. And yes, I know you're imagining this painter who's always on about, bruh, you just gotta go with the flow. Let yourself be free and you'll find peace. Sorry, but what the fuck does that even mean? Although these guys can be cool, their gimmick gets old pretty quick. The dude I like is more of just a Chad who has a highly functioning imagination. Cause with a guy like this, you always have something to talk about, and they come up with some of the most interesting things. Plus, they're usually not just some hippie dude who enjoys saying shit that makes no sense and expects everybody to think he's deep cause he saw a quote on TikTok and it really resonated with him. He's more of the dude who'll say some master Oogway quote and explain how that funny meme actually says something deep about life, but then ended with, I don't actually know, I might just be too high. And I love that, cause sometimes a mofo is just too high and sees a deeper meaning in something that doesn't have one. But hey, that's just a theory, a high theory. Socializing high. You ever tried holding a conversation while being blasted? It usually ends up being a mixture of trying to remember what the other guy said whilst analyzing the little bit of details that did manage to penetrate into your mind. Just recently, I had a guy come up to me at the store like, should I get the spicy ones or the cheesy ones? Hey bro, what you doing at Walmart? Who is this guy? Ah, yeah, we met at that party a month ago. Oh yeah, I should say something. Yeah bro, just chilling. Just chilling at Walmart?
That's cool that you can just
what does
chill
that
like
even
that.
mean?
My mom just
Should
died
I say
yesterday
something
and
to add to
I don't know where to go.
No, it's too long
I'm
already.
gonna be homeless soon.
Wait, what's this guy talking about?
So yeah, just been really sad because of that lately.
Yeah man, I get you. But don't worry, cause there's always a bright side at the end of the tunnel, man.
Bright side at the end of the tunnel? My mom just died and I'm gonna be homeless now, so I don't know about that, man.
I'm sorry, bro. I didn't know.
But I just told you 10 seconds ago.
Okay, see you, bro. Hope things get better soon. What was that guy talking about? I don't know. I think I'll take the spicy Doritos. It's even worse when you blast it onto Mars with a spaceship type of high. Cause I swear, I be getting memory wiped every 5 seconds. Like, I don't want to be mean or anything, but please understand, if you don't get your point across in 5 seconds or less, I'ma be right back to thinking about that one meme on Reddit I saw 2 weeks ago. Bro, I've been thinking about this a lot, and I finally got it. The secret to making endless money is... And that's all you gotta do. Wait, sorry bro, I'm kinda faded than a hoe out here right now, so you said the secret to making endless dough was...
Yeah, man, what I was basically saying was that all you gotta do is start a business involving... So yeah, man, I can help you get started. I've already quit my job and moved to Dubai. You can join me.
Move to Dubai? What's this guy on about? I think I'm just gonna leave. So bro, what you think? You ready to get rich?
Nah, man, I don't think that's gonna work. Now, excuse me, I'm gonna go take a shit.
It's not all bad though. You gotta love it when you see a homie at the store who's also blasted to the moon.
the Zaza makes you connected on a multiversal level like, hey bro, what you doing? Nothing, chillin'. Funny you say that. I would have answered the exact same way if you asked me that question. Sorry man, I'm faded than a hoe right now, and I just got hit with that memory wipe, so what you say again? Oh shit, you high too? Duh, I'm at the store, what else would I be? For sure, you tryna hit up that candy section though? Damn dog, you read my mind. Unfortunately, social situations can be pretty tough if you're not an experienced blazer, especially if you're talking to people you want to leave a good impression on. But remember, if you're ever in irreversible trouble and you have no idea what to respond, just say, that's crazy, bruh, but I'm way too faded right now.
I'm sorry, I don't think I quite understand.
I said that I'm faded than a hoe up in this bit.
No, Charles, you're fired.
We've all had a bad high before, and for some of us, we've had many. But what if I told you, you don't even know what that means? At least before you hear about the day I almost died while bugging off the Zaza. I woke up happier than usual because it was a special day. To be exact, it was my special day. My birthday. And I had planned a great celebration in my name. I was going to get wasted in my hometown with my old school friends. Because, well, I hadn't seen him in a long time, and I mean, I was turning 18, so you know your boy had to throw a killer party. Okay, to be honest, the party was pretty lame, cause my friends were either soy boys in a relationship or just plain gay, cause I told them multiple times, bring some hoes. The problem was, I had lost all my female connections in the area over the 2 years I was away, and they knew this. So how you gonna pull up to the party knowing your boy is back from the gulag and it's his birthday talking about,
bro, where the hoes at? This party lame as hell.
I told you bring the hoes, any hoes, yet you come here with a 6-pack and a vape. What you talking about where the hoes at? Look in the mirror, fool. You the hoe. You the hoe. Anyway, so we're just chilling at my lame party when my boy Ricky hits me up like,
hey bro, I saw you in town again. Wanna smoke some gas?
And even though I do have an obligation to stay at my own birthday function, I decided to disband. Hey, everybody, thank you all for coming, but I'm gonna have to wrap this party up because it's getting kinda late.
Bro, it's 11 p.m. Party's just starting. Let's drink some more beers, eh?
Yeah, it's only 11 p.m. Let's drink some more beers. Get the fuck out of my house, Charles. So I get these soy boys out my house. Like, sorry, but if you can't even muster one single female on a 2-week notice to come to a house party, are you really even a man? But yeah, so here I am, half drunk, walking to the European version of 7-Eleven when I get a text from my boy Ricky.
Hey man, you wanna come roll with us on this drop-off? We can blaze up in the car on the way there.
And I don't really want to get involved with any dealings of illegal substances, but like, I was pretty much at the 7-Eleven already and really wanted to get lit. So I was like, yeah, sure, why not? I get to the parking lot and I see the most rusty ricer stolen from the junkyard looking car, blasting gangster rap from the speakers like it was a 50 Cent concert. I jump in the car and see my boy Ricky, but also 2 of my friends from elementary school. They discussing this business whilst me and Ricky blazing in the back, when I notice the driver seems kind of off. So I asked Ricky, hey bro, is that man good? Seems a little off.
Yeah, no, he good. Just had a couple beers.
Bruh. So I just found out that the driver is a teensy bit drunk. But I'm already here and we're blazing, so what am I gonna do, leave? It was about 10 minutes of chatting and smoking when the time came to roll out. And bro, when I say this car was the biggest piece of shit that has ever grazed public roads, I'm not exaggerating. The freaking bottom of the car was vibrating and shaking so much, it felt like we was having an earthquake. And on top of it, the engine was making these clunking noises, and the exhaust was spitting fumes like it was 1920. Even though I was high as a kite, it wasn't just the Zaza making me paranoid, because this guy was driving like he was on a NASCAR track. But the one thing he did constantly that got me praying to our Lord and Savior was taking every corner and curve on the opposite side of traffic. Even though we lived in a small town and it was midnight, if even just one car would have been on those dark and twisty roads that day, it would have meant certain death for all of us. You know those moments where you're like,
Oh Lord, please, I will never hang out with these thugs again, and I will never smoke the good. Just save me from this death. That was me, but like times 10 at least. Anyway, what felt like an eternity of driving, we got to the drop-off, and it was just some more wannabe thug gangsters interacting with our group of wannabe thug gangsters. That interaction took about 10 minutes until we started driving back, and I was just praying the whole way to whoever would listen. Gandhi, Buddha, Michael Jackson, Pop Smoke, Jiraiya, anybody and everybody. Somehow we got back in one piece. Can't say the same words about the car though, cause when we pulled up to the 7-Eleven again and he turned it off, it made a weird noise, so he tried activating the shit box again and it wouldn't. So yeah, sucks for him I guess. So I say my goodbyes to the top thug gangsters of my hometown, and all I can think about is, bro, what the hell happened to my old homies? Everybody's either a soy boy or a drug dealer, no in between. Guess the moral of the story is, chase your dreams, I guess. Oh, and don't go into cars that look like they were last maintenanced in 1955, cause there's a good chance that this'll happen.